But they've got some work to do. The Chargers have some work to do. The Dolphins have work to do. The Denver Broncos still have work to do just to get league compliant. We talked about what this meant a couple of days ago when Russell Wilson was released, when the Broncos decided to take on the $85 million dead cap hit because of the decision they made, the fateful decision that they made that set their franchise back years and years and years of what it will take to dig out of the hole. That includes moving on from the man over the last 5 seasons, 6 seasons in the NFL. Since 2016, defenders with the most interceptions, Justin Simmons, 30. He's number 1. Xavier Howard, 29. Hey, look, another guy that was in the news. J.C. Jackson, 26. Hey, look, another guy that was in the news. Most interceptions since 2016, Justin Simmons leads with 30. But the Broncos have to make decisions. They move on from Justin Simmons because they had to move on from Russell Wilson. That offseason, and I kind of want to go back and look at it from a bigger picture. We looked at it from the AFC West and other teams, but each and every offseason, you never know what that's going to be for the next 3, 4, 5 years. The decisions the Chiefs will make this offseason will be big factors in what happens next offseason, the offseason after that, because not many people thought when Russell Wilson was traded to the Broncos that it would be a disaster like this. Not many people thought that. We have talked for the last couple of years about this day of reckoning coming for the Bills. We talked about it in the offseason of 2022 on this show. We said the Bills are going all in. If you look at the salary cap for going into the season of 2024, the Bills have given themselves a 2-year window to get something done. 2-year window, 2022 and the 2023 season. After that, they will have some real difficult decisions to make. And they are hoping there is hardware to show for it. And we know there was not hardware to show for it. They lost in the divisional round back-to-back years. They never made it back to the AFC Championship game after that 2020 AFC Championship game in which they lost to the Chiefs. Haven't made it back since. But they went all in for a 2-year window. And we talked about it at the time. I didn't think it would be a disaster to this degree with the Broncos. But I knew the Bills would have a day of reckoning. They would have to have some sort of tough decision, some purge that would have to take place. And that's what happened yesterday. And we'll get into that and talk a little bit more about that and what some other teams around the AFC, specifically the AFC West, what they still have to do to get cap compliant, the decisions they can make to get cap compliant. I mean, the Bills are releasing a center and moving a guard to center. They're going from one Mizzou to the next, but, whatever. Releasing Mitch Morse and moving Connor McGovern over to center. So, Mizzou replacing Mizzou. But Mitch Morse now out there. Justin Simmons now out there. By the way, Deontay Hardy out there. I like Deontay Hardy. I mean, if you're looking at sort of a lower-level Richie James type signing, I don't know how much money he's going to get, but, it's an interesting one to keep an eye on. He may want to join a team that they can't beat in the postseason. Can't beat him, join him, right? So we'll talk about that. Ken Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock. We'll also hear from Tyreek Hill, the Pivot Podcast. We'll hear some clips from the New Heights Podcast with Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey throughout the show. And, of course, 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. By the way, this text comes in, and I do want to read this one because I think it's an interesting point to note from what we talked about. It was Monday with Mick Schaefer while Sterling Holmes was hanging out with us. It says, Jason, Pro Football Focus credits Ben Sinnott with 2 drops the entire 2023 season. On your show earlier this week, you talked about his multiple drops against Missouri. Love the show, not trying to be a D. but I think you might have this avow wrong. I don't think Ben Sinnott is a guy who drops the ball. That wasn't what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say was I remember there being, and it was almost a surprise. That being the point, and we talked about and got into this about the number that he wore and why it made me feel it was more Kyle Juszczyk than, an NFL tight end, right? And you see the combine numbers and the agility and his athleticism that showed up on the field, at the combine, on paper. We see that. I just was remembering, man, there was a couple drops in that game. At least that's what I remember. My memory doesn't always serve me right. Doesn't know. It oftentimes lets me down. But I don't think he's a guy that drops the ball. I think he's a middle second rounder. And let me tell you, if the Chiefs walked away in the draft with Ben Sinnott, I would not be mad about that at all. If the Chiefs enter next year and pick number 64, or, I don't know, maybe there's a L'Jarius Sneed trade to Detroit, and it's pick number 60 or whatever. It doesn't matter. But they walk away with him. Hey, I will be glad if that takes place. So I don't think he's a guy who drops the ball. It's just my memory may not have served me correctly. I just remember that, I'm like, man, because he dropped it. I'm like, oh, my God, he dropped the ball? It might be Missouri's day. If he drops the ball, who knows? 913-912-4810. Let's start with this. Jaylen Watson tweets out yesterday that apparently he had a X-ray that showed a bulldog in his chest. Not really sure how that happens, but that's true. I've seen that on the internet. A lot of people are tweeting out the X-ray that they took of Jaylen Watson. And there's an image of a dog in his rib cage. A pit bull. Crazy, I know. But apparently that's what went on. If you didn't see it, Jaylen Watson tweets out that he tore his labrum in week 2. Now, we talked about last year what it meant for Isaiah Pacheco when he played in the Super Bowl. Like, man, that guy had a messed up hand, and he messed up his labrum, and he still played. He tore his labrum against the Bengals, right? In the AFC Championship game. And this guy still went and played in the Super Bowl. Man, the toughness of that dude. And we see Jaylen Watson have surgery, tweet out the surgery went well. And I want to read the actual tweet to you in case you didn't see it. He says, surgery was a success. I got my labrum in week 2. And then he put a star on the reply. It says, torn. Was given the option to get surgery to try to play the remainder of the season. 5 months later, 2-time Super Bowl champion. A lot of discomfort, a lot of pain this year, but worth every moment. There are a few things that I want to talk about with this. Maybe it relates specifically to Jaylen Watson. Maybe it relates a bigger picture, 10,000-foot view of that particular tweet and what that decision was. This is year 2 for Jaylen Watson. Think about the decision there. You've already won a Super Bowl. You know that you are a rotational piece at a cornerback spot. Najee Johnson's already torn his ACL, so he's out, so it's not like he's going to pass you up this year. Yes, you've been competing with Joshua Williams, but it's year 2. You got 2 more years left after this year. Going back to week 2 when he tore his labrum. The decision that week, I would imagine, had to go through his mind of, man, I really, really want to play this year. But if I continue to mess up my shoulder, does that put me in a position to where now year 3 and year 4 are now compromised? My earning potential long-term is now compromised. I've got a Super Bowl. I've got a spot on this team. I'm going to get paid the money this year regardless if I play through it or I have surgery. And he made the decision, I'm going to play through it. Now, the doctors probably talked to him about, there may not be further risk of doing more damage. Maybe there was. I don't know. I've never messed up my labrum before. Dylan, have you ever had a labrum injury? You've thrown a lot in your life playing baseball.
Luckily, no, I have not.
Okay. I have no idea what that. Let's get Vinny Pasquantino on the phone. See what it's like. Ask Vinny Pasquantino with the torn labrum after he did that last summer. Could he go play defensive back in the NFL? Hitting, pushing, pulling, jamming guys at the line of scrimmage. By the way, diving and throwing his body on a fumble and a muffed punt in the Super Bowl. That changed the entire course of that game. And looking back now and seeing highlights of the season and seeing that black medical tape on his left arm, it's like, oh, well, that's what that was for. He's got that whole thing taped up, and he's playing the entire season with a torn labrum, playing injured. That fumble recovery makes it even more impressive, by the way. Because I don't know what, type of pain he was going through, but just playing injured. One of the thoughts that came through my mind when I read that is, this guy's a 7th-round pick, so there's probably the mindset of, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure nobody takes my job. I've been an underdog. We heard, Jason Kelce give the underdog mummy speech when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. But, Jalen Watson went to a Power 5 program, so it's not like he was, a guy who was cut from his high school team his junior and senior year and then ran out there with a walk-on and was the Rudy of the team, and then all of a sudden he's a starter. He's a guy who's always been a good football player, but he's also had to work. He was a 7th-round pick, and he's had to work to earn a job, to earn his playing time, and to prove that he was trustworthy enough to be out there on a Super Bowl championship team. And he was picked in the 7th round. And this is where the draft becomes so difficult, because how do you know when you're drafting somebody that they'll make that decision? I mean, everybody at the combine will tell you, I would do that. I would do that. You draft me, I'll do whatever it takes. You draft me, I will play injured, I will play hurt, I will play whatever. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll be the hardest working person you've ever seen in your life if you draft me. Nobody will work harder than me if you draft me. And then you get done with practice and you're tired and you go to the locker room and other guys stay late. Then you get injured and you go get your treatment or whatever, and you may make a different decision. But that guy was a 7th rounder. No idea. 7th rounders in the 2022 draft. Both played in the Super Bowl with a torn labrum in different years. Pacheco played in the Super Bowl with a torn labrum against the Eagles, and Jalen Watson played 5 months of football with a torn labrum. And I don't know if it's just something Jalen Watson would have done regardless. Like if he played for the Panthers, would he have had surgery? Is it part of you walk into the building, and I know I keep using the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin line of the standard is the standard, right? But you walk into the building at One Arrowhead Drive, and the expectation is the expectation. What your level of play and commitment has to be a part of the Chiefs, to play for that organization, when guys are trying to win Super Bowls, be historic, be a dynasty, win back-to-back, win 3 in a row, there's a level of commitment that takes place with that. Does that build on itself? Do you take a guy who's already a tough dude, kind of an underdog, and you put him in that culture, and he says, no, I'm not getting surgery. I'm playing. I will play. I'll get surgery after the season, and if I got to play through the pain and get it taped up and shoot it up, whatever it might be, go through the rehab every day, pain, all of that. I'll do whatever it takes to be there. And it's also, credit to Brett Veach in finding players. I think you could find traits with players, but can you find players that have sort of that mentality to them? I don't know. Pacheco certainly does. And we know Jalen Watson does. And it makes me feel a little bit better because I've talked since the season ended about L'Jarius Sneed and trading him and who's more likely, what position is more likely to already have an answer, a solution to some degree to absorb the hit easier, relative term easier, but easier. Is that Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed? The obvious answer is L'Jarius Sneed, and I've pointed to Joshua Williams. But if Jalen Watson played all of last year with a torn labrum and didn't have surgery, then I'll go ahead and put him in that mix. Text says, get chest x-rays at the combine. Only draft those with that dog. Exactly. That's what I said. I mean, I totally agree with you. Text says, after surgery, labrum repair feels better than the other shoulder. No pain at all in repaired shoulder. 4 months rehab. Great for Jalen Watson now, but I do wonder what it felt like throughout the season for him. I mean, there's a lot of sort of takeaway that, I feel with that that tweet that came out yesterday.
Kind of like hockey players.
Mm-hmm.
Where, it's just an upper body, or it's just, and then the more accurate broken arm, the entire playoffs news comes out after the season.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable some of the pain that people go through. Text asked Jason, have you ever done the show injured? Yeah. I've had voice issues, okay? There's some times when I'm like, I can barely speak. Like, you've heard that. Like, guys go, this is our tool, It's our instrument. It's our career. It's why when I had a bad neck and they were like, well, we can do surgery on it and sort of repair that. And they're like, well, we go in from the front. I'm like, nope, not happening. You go in from the front? No, I'll deal with the pain. See, I've never had a labrum injury, but I've had the pinched nerve and the bulging disc to where the entire right side of my, arm and shoulder just aches like a son of a gun and tingling in my fingers and everything. I had that for like a year and a half. Still did the show, damn it. Yeah. Try to write left-handed. Throw a football left-handed. Turns out that's why I was never good at baseball. Found out I'm left-handed the whole time. Thanks, Mom. Do you like cryptic tweets, Dylan?
Oh, I love them. Yeah, they're the best.
Chris Jones tweeting out.
Oh, here we go again.
15 minutes ago. He tweets, KC ... and then a picture of Andy Reid celebrating on top of Chris Jones at the Super Bowl. You seen this, Dylan? This picture here?
The poorly cropped one where you can see he's on an hour-long phone call at the top?
Yes.
Yes, that one.
That's exactly right.
Nice.
See it, camera? See it, camera? Huh? You see that? Yeah, zoom in. Zoom into that. That's right. Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, at the top there, if you could one more time.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it one more time. I'll show the... Oh, there you go.
There
that
we
1
go.
hour.
It's the Katz brothers. They're getting
But
a deal done. That's what he's trying to show. It's positive.
This dude is the king of cryptic tweets. And I don't know what to make of it. But that feels as... Oh, man, I don't know. See, that's what he's doing. He's doing that for a reason. It's like the people, the trolls that are on Twitter. It's like, you're doing what they want. You're giving them the attention. Damn you, Chris Jones. Don't you do that, man. Don't you play with me, all right? Not you. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk cryptic tweets from Chris Jones next. All right, we'll continue hanging out right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Dylan Michaels. We head up until 2 o'clock. You know, what would I do without Google Fiber? I wouldn't be able to check out all of these cryptic tweets that are going on with the Kansas City Chiefs. Because there is not one, but there are two cryptic tweets. Cryptic Tweet Day for your Kansas City Chiefs. One, an unrestricted free agent in Chris Jones. And another from tagged and maybe traded L'Jarius Sneed. We told you the Chris Jones cryptic tweet right before the break. I'll read it again. Chris Jones tweets, KC, ... Picture of Andy Reid celebrating on top of Chris Jones, that famous photo, video that's out there of Chris Jones laying on the ground and Andy Reid on top of him, pushing his chest down, right? Giving him chest compressions. That was the tweet from Chris Jones. Cryptic tweet. Are they getting ready to sign him? Is he returning? Or is Chris being Chris? I'm going to go with my instincts say it's Chris Jones being Chris Jones.
Yeah, we're only, 7 days into March now? We have two cryptic tweets that we will definitely talk about, I'm sure, ad nauseum.
Well, we'll bring it up with Kent Swanson. I mean, coming up at 11 o'clock, I'll get his thoughts on cryptic tweets. Yes, of course. Get inside the mind of Chris Jones. Because there was the tweet, was it yesterday or the day before, that it was about Mike Garafolo. So the Raiders would be interested in Chris Jones. And if Chris Jones doesn't sign with the Chiefs, a team that he thinks that he might go to, he'd stay in the AFC West, it would be the Raiders. And then somebody tweeted along the lines of, quote, tweeted or whatever, was like, Chris Jones, if you go there, you're dead to me. And then Chris Jones did, just a tweet of like a handshake. It's like, come on, man. But cryptic tweet number 2. Cryptic tweet dos. L'Jarius Sneed. J __ Sneed. Still learning. Still growing. Still dreaming. Still going. Eagle emoji. Exclamation point. And I love the responses to this. They're like, all right, Lions, definitely. Lions. Tell me it's the Lions. Vikings, man. Come to the Vikings. Dude, Falcons. I'm like, if there's any team that he is alluding to that he may be traded to, it would be the Eagles, right? Go to your X or Twitter and just type in the word Eagles and see the emoji that pops up. Emoji or whatever you want to call it. It's the exact thing that he tweeted out. Now he might just say, still learning, still growing, still dreaming, still going. Flying?
Maybe keep soaring, I guess. Maybe.
But if I type in flying, nothing comes up to add to it. If I type in Falcons, nothing comes up. If I type in bird, then the same emoji comes up along with like a duck, some other things. Let's see, soaring. Nope. And what do Eagles fans call them? The birds? Let's go. Birds, Eagles. So, I mean, I feel like, Dylan, we're comfortable to fully report it's a done deal with Chris Jones back to the Chiefs and L'Jarius Sneed as an Eagle. Do you feel comfortable putting that out there based on these tweets alone?
Yeah. I mean, if we're in peak NFL offseason, so yes. My sources are saying that there's from people in the know at the time.
Yeah.
I'm doing the full Florio here.
That's right, yes.
That there's a strong possibility that L'Jarius Sneed might potentially go to the Eagles in a potential trade.
It's on people's radar around the league.
There you go.
That the Eagles potentially could be a landing spot for L'Jarius Sneed if the Chiefs end up trading him. I feel confident reporting that. By the way, if you're wondering, scoring at home, Philadelphia has pick 50 and 55. They have 2 second-round picks, do the Eagles. So shut up, Alexa. I already know the picks. Okay, you don't need to tell me. I already looked it up. Thanks. Better late than never, I guess. They've got pick 50 and pick 55, Philadelphia. Boy, this is fun. They also have pick 22 in case you're, scoring at home. Again, still scoring at home for some reason. In case you're scoring at home. 22, 50, and 55. So there you go. Cryptic tweet season. Do you think they plan that together? I got to see the timing of this.
Or do you think Sneed saw Chris's and had a plan to do this and rushed it out? That's what I think happened. He saw Chris's and was like, "Oh, I wanted to do this.
Come on, Chris. What are you doing?
I wanted to be the cryptic tweet guy."
Stealing my thunder? Chris Jones tweeted out at 10:11. L'Jarius Sneed tweeted that out at 10:14. 3 minutes apart. Come on. You know what?
I'm joking, but I guarantee his agent did. His agent definitely was like, "Oh, no. Yeah.
They couldn't let Jalen Watson have some shine for a little bit? That man played with a torn labrum for 5 months. You couldn't give him his shine for just a little bit longer? L'Jarius, you're already overshadowing him. Chris, you overshadow a lot of people, just in general, by your physique, your size. Again, my guess is it's Chris being Chris and L'Jarius Sneed just tweeting a motivational thing. Because they still have a number of days before you get to Monday, before teams start, looking at some of these cornerbacks that are on the open market to see if can they trade for L'Jarius Sneed. Could they sign him to a long-term deal? How much money then would they have to go out and spend on other free agents starting on Monday? They may want to know that before it opens up, and they may want to know what they have in a draft pick, first couple rounds, first couple days, I should say, for L'Jarius Sneed. So hopefully there are more answers than questions over the next 5 days. 4 days, essentially. So we're talking about Monday at 11 o'clock in the morning. So Monday at this time, we'll be talking about some whispers and news coming out of possible connections with different teams, and this player would be interested there, and this player would be interested in this team. And there's the report out of USA Today where L'Jarius Sneed, and there have been many teams interested in L'Jarius Sneed, multiple teams. The Vikings, the Colts, the Titans, the Patriots, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Jaguars. And now the Eagles, obviously, based on that tweet. So, yeah, been a lot of different reports on teams that may or may not be interested in L'Jarius Sneed. All right, there's the cryptic tweet of the day. Chris Jones, 10:11. L'Jarius Sneed, 10:14. And I say to both of them, 10-4. I read you loud and clear. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Just want to say again, the Eagles with pick 50 and 53. I think I said 50 and 55 because I had at least one texter was like, yeah, they got 50 and 53. And I'm like, crap, what did I say? Because I'm looking right here at the thing that says 50 and 53. So I must have said 50 and 55. But 50 and 53 for the Eagles. And I bring that up because it's pretty obvious based on a tweet by L'Jarius Sneed that he's being traded to the Eagles, except for a text that says Sneed has used the eagle emoji in the past, as in soar like an eagle. Look back to his tweet from January 13th and January 28th. You shut up! You don't come in like that and just like a wrecking ball and destroy the narrative. Huh, Miley? Don't do that. Come on. We're on a roll. We got Jones re-signing. We got L'Jarius Sneed trading. We got news here on Cryptic Tweets. Fun day. Fun day. Text says, wonder who Jones is on the phone with for an hour. I agree. It's a great question.
It's a conference call between the Katz brothers, Brett Veach, and the Hunt family.
The Clarks.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it right. Come on, man. Charlie Rice and the Clarks. So, when's the last time you had an hour-long conversation with somebody on the phone? Well, hell, I mean, besides here, 4 hours. I have an hour-long conversation with people 1 hour individually. I have a 4-hour conversation with the listeners.
But then mid-call, go screenshot, tweet. That's what I'm saying. It's the Katz brothers, for sure. One of them.
Is it Jason?
If not both.
It's Andy Katz, actually. They're just talking college basketball together.
You're right. There you go.
So what do you think about this UConn team? I mean, I know Marquette was missing one of their better players, but they went there and won a game on senior night. What's that? Andy, what do you think about that? I'm trying to fill up my bracket. We know about this Tennessee team, Dalton Connect. Should he be the number one pick in the player pool? Andy, I need some help here. Text says, on my rotary phone. It was the last time I was on the phone for an hour. Man, I don't know. An hour-long phone. That's not work. Well, I guess that would be work-related if he is actually on. Well, that's sort of the point, right? If he's just on the phone for an hour with a friend as opposed to being work-related. Last time I might have been on the phone for an hour, more than likely work-related. Because especially if you've got a conference call with...
Or life-changing moment-related as well.
Could be that.
It could be that.
Absolutely.
Like I'm saying, we are moving to blank.
Yep. The phone call that I had with Chad a couple weeks ago when he said, it's Josh or you. That was an hour long. Because I was trying to decide. What do I want to do here? It's a big decision, life-changing decision, you know? Am I going to sign for $28 million and kick him off the show or just have him take over?
14, you know? Yeah.
I don't know. It's a big decision to be made. I don't know, man. Tex says, or for an hour on hold. That's a good one. He could have been on hold for an hour. He's probably talking to a internet provider that's not Google Fiber. It's probably what's going on. That's great, man. That's a good point. You could be on hold for an hour. Because that little microphone thing that's in the top right after it says, 1 hour, and then the little microphone thing, could just be the music that's playing in the background, that elevator music, that on-hold music that's there. So there you go. 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We will talk with Ken Swanson. We'll get his thoughts on Cryptic Tweet Day from L'Jarius Sneed and also Chris Jones. Again, my assessment is Chris being Chris, L'Jarius Sneed, motivational tweets, etc. And it'll be much ado about nothing. And I don't think we are minutes or hours away from reporting a Chris Jones extension. I don't think so. Another text says, do the entire show in the Denny Matthews voice. I don't know. That might get old pretty quickly. Can't just do it the whole time. Then people will stop wanting it. Got to keep them wanting more, Dylan. That's why I end at 2 o'clock. If I just wanted to throw the entire arsenal out there, I'd be on till 4.
Could bring out Bill Walton, though.
From time to time, I could.
Time to time.
Chris
is
Jones.
basketball season.
What an amazing man Chris Jones is.
Bill, how's UCLA going to do in the tournament?
You know, they probably will lose their coach. I lost my coach a while ago. He was an amazing man. Greatest man I've ever met. Wizard of Westwood, John Wooden. Mick Cronin isn't quite the man that he was. Plus, it's no longer the Conference of Champions. It's just Conference of Two.
I would play the part of Dave Pash, but I enjoy being here, so I can't actually do that.
I like that relationship.
It is good. It's fun.
It's really fun, man.
What happened? I mean, they used to do that. It was like a staple. It was, well, the conference is going away.
The conference is dying, man, or dead, whichever one you want to call it, man. The Buffalo Bills had their purge yesterday. 10 moves that they made. 10 moves they made. They released Mitch Morse. They released Jordan Poyer. They released Naheem Hines. They released Deontay Hardy. They released Sir Neal. They had to convert some of the cap with Rasul Douglas in a restructure. They renegotiated Von Miller, who agreed to take a pay cut. His base salary went from $17.145 million down to $1.5.
Oh, yeah, you don't say. You don't say he took a pay cut off the cap hit he was giving him.
Ooh. They designated Tre'Davious White for a post-June 1 designation. And then they signed Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Hawk, extended David Edwards, and Taylor Rapp, safety. So there you go. They lose their center. Micah Hyde was already a free agent, so they lose their safety combo. They lose their running back kick returner in Himes. They lose a wide receiver kick returner in Deontay Hardy. They lose a special teamer, a pretty important special team piece, in Neal.
They're a Stephon Diggs trade away from Mahomes killing that iteration of the Bills.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah.
Them being dead.
Absolutely. If they move on that one. And I am, we use the word fascinating and fascinated a lot around here. I'm pretty fascinated to see what the Los Angeles Chargers do. Sitting 34, 20, depending on where you go. But they started they were at like January at 34, but like $20-something million over the cap. I got some big decisions to make too.
$1.48. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. Got some sports or leisure coming away later on in the show. Presented by Johnny's Tavern. Right now, let's talk some Chiefs football, some NFL football with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, kcsn.substack.com, and, of course, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, welcome into the show. How are you, sir?
I am doing absolutely wonderful on this off-season Thursday. Hope you are doing the same as well.
I'm doing fantastic. You know, it's just like in Billy Madison when they had the favorite day, which was Cryptic Tweet Magazine Day. Wasn't that the magazine day that they had in Billy Madison? Cryptic Tweet Magazine Day. You know, they were very excited about that. And it's Cryptic Tweet Day for the Kansas City Chiefs, which means obviously, Kent, with Chris Jones' tweet and the picture of him celebrating with Andy Reid and the and just the words or the letters KC and ... and L'Jarius Sneed tweeting out inspirational words and then an Eagles emoji. There's only one conclusion from this, and that is Chris Jones is going to be announced as an extension very soon, and L'Jarius Sneed is an Eagle. Any other thing to take away from that is just foolishness, right? I mean, come on.
Take it all to the bank, baby. There's one other little interesting thing from that screenshot that's been pointed out to me. I think we have a Discord at KC Sports Network. I've seen some other people talking about it. Chris Jones has been on the phone for an hour when he makes that screenshot.
When's the last time you talked to somebody for an hour?
Well, I mean, our conversation's only going 30 normally, Jason.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a while.
When's the last time you talked for an hour that wasn't work-related? Because he could be talking for an hour work-related, right? Because, you know, conference call, things like that. When's the last time you talked to somebody just generally like, I'm just talking to my friend, no big deal for an hour, and I feel like just tweeting this out in the middle of a phone call?
Yeah, it's bizarre, man. I don't know, man. I would anticipate he's probably talking to his agent while he's sending the screenshot. That's how I read it. Again, to continue to validate the fact that Chris Jones is signing is imminent. So, look, we're just gonna roll with that.
My interpretation is it's Chris being Chris, and he loves to mess with everybody. That's my interpretation.
Probably, it probably is the case. It probably is the case. You hope that there's, you hope that there's something coming down the pike. I just want resolution.
Me too.
That's all
yeah.
I want. I just want the saga to be over with. He's in, he's out. Just let's find out.
Don't you think we'll get a pretty good idea of resolution come Monday around 11 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, yeah. I think the deadline essentially for the Chiefs is that day, because I think the second other teams are really able to negotiate, wink, wink, nod, nod for the first time ever, I think things change drastically. I think there's my feel is that there's a deadline. And I don't know. That's not sourced or anything. I feel like there's a deadline for the Chiefs to have this done the day that free agency begins. And if they don't, work a deal out in the next, 72 hours or whatever it is, I would guess that the market's going to start telling us how much Chris Jones makes.
I have done the fool's errand a number of times, the exercise in futility of trying to figure out, read the tea leaves on Chris Jones and the Chiefs, certainly in 2020, summer of 2020, when he was tweeting out poems and stories and talking about Le'Veon Bell. And, of course, last year when it was, well, this is the tweet. And then at the ESPYs, he specifically thanked Brett Veach, trying to sort of figure out what's going on. And then, he eventually sits out. So I have done this exercise in futility before. We have all done it before, but I'll still ask, does something get done before Monday, whether we read into the tweet or not? But does something get done, Chris Jones, long-term, since there's so much more of a deadline to this than there was a year ago?
I think so. And, I think it feels a little different than the last time that we went through all this, right? I don't want to say that the negotiations were done in bad faith or anything last time, but I think there was chaos surrounding the approach of Chris's people, and I think there was some chaos around just that whole situation in general. And the expectations for how things were going to go between the Chiefs and Chris's people were just so far apart. I do tend to believe that they found some common ground over the course of this last 9 months, 6 months, whatever it's been. I do think they've probably found some common ground. I think the Chiefs might be a little bit more willing to keep a blue chip player for the duration, or at least, the last few, exceptional years of his career. So I think this is why you're seeing the approach with L'Jarius Sneed. I think everything is kind of built around some level of belief and expectation that they're going to get something done with Chris Jones.
How much do Ken Swanson's our guest? How much do you think the Chiefs' plans changed without Jones signing maybe earlier in the offseason than what they thought would happen, since they talked about at the draft, the combine, I should say, about the priority is Chris Jones, getting an extension done, getting him taken care of, getting him paid. That was a priority all off season. Did the Chiefs' plans change in what maybe plan A or B might have been without getting something done with Chris Jones, and obviously that going all the way into the first week of the season?
You mean last year's just free agency plans in general? I think they changed if they get something done? Yeah. No, I think if they had resolution on the Chris Jones situation, things could have definitely changed drastically for this team, right? Because they're holding that large cap hit for the entirety of the offseason, and if they were able to come to some kind of agreement, they could maneuver themselves a little bit easier. And I think wide receiver could have very easily been addressed differently if the Chiefs had been able to secure something with Chris Jones. There was a lot up in the air about how this team was going to, approach some things, and it just felt like it just kind of left it very unresolved. And, part of me doesn't think that the Chiefs were satisfied with their receiver core coming into the season, but things kind of necessitated it. I genuinely believe they were in on DeAndre Hopkins at one point in the offseason, especially early. But as things kind of played themselves out, didn't really work out well for him. So undoubtedly, the Chiefs were in some way, I don't want to say held hostage, but it does feel like they were held a little bit hostage by what happened this time last year.
And Chris Jones playing on the last year of his contract last year, now being a free agent. I don't want to try to spin everything positive in the Chiefs, but just looking at the bigger picture of what's happened the last couple of years with the Chiefs trading away Tyreek Hill, we've seen the moves that other teams have made across the AFC West, and the dire straits they're in right now, and the Chiefs winning 2 Super Bowls the last couple of years, that I can't imagine, as we just talked about, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think plan A was the Chiefs just have Chris Jones on a $27 million cap hit and don't address the wide receiver. I think plan A was we're going to get something done with Chris Jones long term. We're going to drop that cap number, and we're going to sign somebody else to come in and play wide receiver. And did the Chiefs sort of get away with one is not the right answer. Did the Chiefs end up being sort of better to be lucky than good, because they still won a Super Bowl without going out and spending the money on wide receiver that maybe they might have a year 2 for a wide receiver that might be expensive. And if they signed Chris Jones long term, they would have dropped the cap hit last year, and therefore this cap hit this year would have been kicking in, where now if they sign him to a couple 3-year deal, this year's cap hit can be pretty low, and they can slowly let that thing escalate over the next couple 3 years, while maybe going and signing a wide receiver with that wide receiver's cap hit being low this year. Did they kind of get away with one in having to sort of take their medicine at $27 million cap hit for Chris Jones and not have a wide receiver because of that?
I mean, yeah, I think they definitely got away with one, and I think the Chiefs the Chiefs' interest in Mike Evans tells you that they kind of feel that a little bit, and it's not to diminish what this team was. This was an exceptional defensive team that had some deficiencies offensively that they were really struggling to overcome for a large stretch of the year. The reason this was so satisfying for Patrick Mahomes, you kind of said, is because of the journey to get here and how difficult and how challenging this whole thing was. So, I don't think anybody's shying away from the fact that there was a lot of struggles in the roster construction had some holes in it differently than it's ever had. This was the most flawed team in the history of the Patrick Mahomes era. That's including a sieve of a defense that that they had against the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game that season, the 2018 season where Patrick Mahomes blows up. But I don't think it's unfair to say that that there was some mistakes made this offseason, and thank God they won the Super Bowl, because you don't want them to waste a season ever. And the fact that the season was so flawed and they were still able to solve the issues that could have very easily kept them from winning a Super Bowl, could have kept them from winning the AFC divisional game. It was really cool to see that they were able to overcome them. But yeah, I don't think they don't want that to happen again, and I don't think Mahomes wants that to happen again either.
The true dynasties can win a Super Bowl in a year they're not supposed to. And this season, looking back, it's kind of like that 2018 Patriots where, they weren't the best team all season long, and they had to play on the road, obviously in the AFC Championship game, and they went up against a Rams team in which they held them to 3 points and they won the Super Bowl. But you're like, man, of course the Patriots find a way to get it done because of Belichick and Tom Brady, but breaking that team down, it's like that shouldn't have been a team to win it. And then, of course, Sean Merriman of, the Chargers are going to sweep the Chiefs, win the AFC West, and the Chiefs weren't even good enough to play in the Super Bowl last year. But yet they won it.
Well, you go to the Bucs game. The Chiefs played in against the Bucs were the same kind of thing. They weren't the best team in the regular season. That's
I'm not sure what
always the best team.
I'm not sure what the Patriots and Bucs have in common though in those two different teams.
I don't
that
know.
We're talking about.
I don't know. It's weird how that works.
And
right?
this Chiefs team this year, I don't.
Well, that's why I think this one's so fun too, is because it's a very Tom way to win a Super Bowl. And I'm going to start chipping at the armor of Tom Brady a little bit here because Patrick Mahomes is coming for that legacy. But it doesn't have to be lighting the scoreboard on fire. It has to be knowing how to win that game, and Mahomes knows how to win that game, and he's won it a lot of different ways now. So that's kind of terrifying for everybody else. But they weren't the best team; they were the most flawed team. This was the worst team they've had in the AFC, and they still won a Super Bowl. So, it's satisfying, but I don't think they want to face that reality again, because I'm sure that was pretty trying.
Yeah, they won back-to-back Super Bowls, scoring 38 points and then 19 points in regulation. So,
Yeah, but if you take the average of those.
It's a great point. It's a great point. You do a 57 divided by 2, and that's just general offensive football in today's day and age. You're right about that. Great call. Great call. 29, 30 points, right around there. That's what they would average in those great Kansas City offenses. Kent Swanson, KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. I think the answer is yes, but I'll still just simply ask it. Will the Chiefs be without L'Jarius Sneed next year, in your estimation?
Yes. I think they will. That's because I think they're getting something done with Chris Jones. If they don't get something done with Chris Jones, I do kind of think that leaves the door open, though, a little bit more than people are talking about right now. And I think it's just because they're so staunchly in the corner of Chris Jones is getting it. There's a lot of optimism that the Chiefs will get something done with Chris Jones. But I don't know if the Chiefs really want to lose both of these guys this year. I think they want to keep at least one. And I think, there are contingency plans upon which this team is, planning their offseason out. And I think the contingencies involve at least one of L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones being here. Because, look, the Chiefs, they have guaranteed themselves at least one of L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones being here by placing the franchise tag. If they so choose, they could still maybe try to move on from Sneed. But I just kind of hold the belief that one of those two guys has to be back here in Kansas City, and I don't think the Chiefs are really interested in losing both in the same offseason. So I would still lean that Chris is back and L'Jarius is gone. But if things fall through with Chris, I would not be stunned in the slightest. In fact, I'd be stunned if they trade him at that point. That just seems like a lot of turnover over the course of the season or over the course of the offseason. And I think it's one or the other between Chris and Sneed, and I think Chris is the one that's ultimately going to win out.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario would be for this defense moving forward to have neither of the players out there on the field. What gives me confidence about this Chiefs organization and what can take place this offseason is what they did the last 2 off seasons. I mean, we just talked about Chris Jones, and plan A was not to go into week number 1 without Chris Jones having an extension or some sort of a new contract and having some money to where they can go and add to the roster, whether that be wide receiver or, offensive line or whatever spot they want to look at. And the year before that, obviously plan A was not to trade Tyreek Hill. They tried to get something done. They tried to extend him. It's back-to-back years they tried to extend a superstar, and they didn't get it done. One of them they ended up trading in Tyreek Hill and pivoting. And last year they just simply went as long as they could with Chris Jones and pivoted in that we're just going to have to play this season with the guys that we have. And then maybe at the trade deadline, we can go and get a guy that will score the walk-off touchdown in the Super Bowl. That was clearly the plan, is go find at the trade market the guy that's going to walk off in the Super Bowl. And then be in the Celebrity NBA All-Star Game, be on the Pivot podcast.
Go on Kimmel.
Go on Kimmel, release the information that you were tampering, the game plans he was releasing, even though he has trouble with the Chiefs' game plan. All of those things. I mean, clearly that was the perfect strategy. But in all seriousness, like they've shown the last 2 years, they can pivot. So if something's not getting done with Chris Jones, pivot. What do you do with L'Jarius Sneed? If there's not a trade worthy, pivot. If there's a trade worthy, then make that move. They've probably got like 10 different ideas, and it's confidence in this Chiefs offseason in the front office because they've proven it the last 2 years. Doesn't mean it's a definite, Kent, that they're going to do it again this offseason and kick ass and kill it, but it's at least confidence that they were able to figure it out the last 2 years and still put together a 1-53 that was good enough to win a Super Bowl.
So I think 2 off seasons ago with the Tyreek Hill trade, the plan was it was a remarkably planned off season, a well organized off season. I actually think last year's was not as well organized as the year prior.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, kind of what we were talking about a little bit earlier. I don't think that they, I think the Chris Jones stuff really hurt how they wanted to attack that off season. So, it feels this year like they are extremely well prepared relative, for a lot of contingencies relative to last year, honestly. So, I give them credit, obviously, for building a great roster and for putting a good football team that won the Super Bowl out last year. I don't want to sound too critical because, this team still did some really good things strategically in how they built that roster. But I don't think ultimately they, I don't think that they anticipated the Chris Jones stuff to go the way it did and as long as it did and him holding out and all that stuff. But I look at this offseason already, and, there's been a lot of news on – and there's not a ton of players there's been a lot of news on. So there's been a ton of news on 2 Chiefs players, L'Jarius Sneed, Chris Jones. But there's also been a lot of news on Mike Evans. And the Chiefs were expected to be in on Mike Evans. I tend to actually believe that they were very much going to be in on Mike Evans based on some things I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think the Mike Evans piece was in conjunction with L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones both getting deals in Kansas City. I think Mike Evans was part of contingencies that they have built in to how they want to approach this offseason based on the domino effects of Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. So I just look at it as, I don't think all 3 of those players were ever going to sniff being in Kansas City at the same time. I think Mike Evans and the interest the Chiefs had in Mike Evans speaks to the flexibility, the planning, the diversity that they have in their plan based on what potentially happens. They're not going to be surprised by Chris Jones. They're not going to be surprised now by L'Jarius Sneed. They have him under control for at least this year. So I think they've done a very, very good job this offseason relative to last year. I think they're ready to roll. I think they're going to be ready to roll at the beginning of free agency, whether Chris is here, L'Jarius is here or not. They have a variety of plans that they can execute. I think Mike Evans was a plan B, a plan C, not a bad plan C, just they're prioritizing Chris first.
Kent Swanson's our guest. I want to compare Chris Jones a little bit to Orlando Brown in that both of them make the same impact on the field. No. But Orlando Brown, as he went through an offseason where, remember, he had talking about this is not the year to go into the season without a left tackle, and then Andy Reid saying, well, that's not how we handle things around here. publicly talking about that. And the Chiefs went through their, let's try to get something done with Orlando Brown. Here's the contract offer. He said thanks, but no thanks. They went into next year, and here's the contract offer. He says thanks, but no thanks. And they moved on. They moved on to Jawan Taylor and Plan B once they realized that Orlando Brown was not going to sign, that they weren't going to wait around for him and miss out. I bring that up because last year they went through the issues with Chris Jones. Here's the contract offer. Here's what we can give you. He and his representative said thanks, but no thanks. They go into this year, as you said, eyes wide open, understanding what to expect, that, okay, here's the contract offer. Hopefully we're closer. But come Monday at 11 a.m., we may have to move on because we can't sit around and wait for you to do something and us lose out on maybe a Christian Wilkins, maybe another guy that can come out and help. That may not be the same level, but you can't lose Chris Jones and the other guys that might be free agents and go into the offseason and go into next season with what you may do in secondary defensive tackles or somebody in the draft somewhere and just have a bigger hole at the defensive line where it was such a strength this year for this team. Is the time, we talk about the clock ticking, but is it clock ticking to the degree of the Chiefs saying, this is the deadline, if we don't get it done, we will engage in negotiations with other players, and if we come to an agreement with them, we will sign them and have to move on?
Oh, I think 100% that's where it's heading, personally, because I don't think the Chiefs want to be held up in a Chris Jones negotiation for too long. I think the deadline, like I said, I think the deadline is that the opening of legal tampering, and I think Chris Jones will get a lot of resolution on his deal, by then, whether it's with the Chiefs or whether it's not, and then the contingencies start falling if it's not in Kansas City. So, yeah, I don't think the Chiefs are going to get caught with their pants down. I think they're going to be ready to roll. I think they're working to try to get the deal done before, free agency hits. But my vibe is that the deadline for Chris Jones will be the start of free agency, and at that point they start moving on. They got to start figuring some other stuff out because they're not going to let a player dictate too much how they need to build a roster, because last year that didn't go well.
Ken Swanson's our guest. All right, we were talking about L'Jarius Sneed. I jumped back to Chris Jones there, so I want to jump back to L'Jarius Sneed. You've written a pretty decent, in-depth piece, more than decent, it's really good, in-depth piece at KC Sports Network about the different options of what happens without L'Jarius Sneed. Who steps in for him? If Sneed is traded, which I do believe is the most likely result of this negotiation and plan in the offseason for the Chiefs' stud, should-be all-pro cornerback, who steps in for him? Is it a free agent? Is it just in-house with Joshua Williams and a newly repaired labrum for Jalen Watson? Is it a draft trade? What do you think happens for this Chiefs team if, and what I think and most people believe, when they move on from Sneed?
I think with the caveat that you just have to accept that the cornerback position is probably not going to be the same as it was. I mean, there's no replacing L'Jarius Sneed, but the good news is I think the Chiefs have three capable corners that can play: McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams. I think the Chiefs should probably and would probably try to draft another one. I could see it being a top 100 selection, and there's some cornerbacks that make some sense for the Chiefs and would fit really nicely in their scheme. There's a kid out of Iowa State who's probably going to go in day two. His name's TJ Tampa. At Iowa State, in Tampa 2, right? Hey,
I was going to say he's got to talk to Joshua Williams about getting number 2. He's got to be Tampa 2.
He'd be a great Tampa 2 corner. Just saying.
Nice.
But I think they still need to invest in some draft capital in there to try to get better than a Jalen Watson and a Joshua Williams, and if they are able to, having those two guys kind of play the role that they played the last couple of years as rotational players, kind of splitting snaps, going half and half, like that, they can do some damage with a cornerback room like that. So, I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be able to replace L'Jarius Sneed, just flat out. And if they do in the draft, then Brett Veach deserves a statue. Even though, and don't get me wrong, there's good players there, and there's good scheme fit, but. I think they go the draft route is my guess. Maybe even the pick they get for L'Jarius Sneed. Who knows?
What do you think the compensation ends up being, if you're guessing right now?
Craig wrote a great article about this on the KCSN Substack as well,
good.
looking kind of at the history of it, and it's shaped up more like a round 3 type compensation. I think the Chiefs. I think that trend gets bucked a little bit. I think the Chiefs actually wind up getting a little bit more. I think a round 2 pick actually makes some sense. There seems to be a strong market a lot of teams interested. There's some reports out there. Some teams, Nate Taylor as well, from the Athletic, reporting that there's a pretty strong market as well. And if that's the case, I think they could get a higher value pick than maybe what the historical trends have been. So I'm guessing around 2.
Last one for you. Kent Swanson's our guest. What do you think the plan is for guys like Dana, Tranquill, Edwards, good players that are free agents that might have a more robust market because they were in the playoffs, played in the Super Bowl, had impact in those games? Do they 1, 2, 3, none end up returning to the Chiefs? Because that offseason was really good in finding those pieces to help this Chiefs team win a Super Bowl.
I'm going to say I think Dana's gone. I think he's going to get more money on the open market than what the Chiefs probably will be willing to give him just because of all the other things they're trying to address. I could see Drue Tranquill being back, but I think he's actually earned a little bit more money elsewhere. So if he's able to secure a long-term deal or a multi-year deal at least, I could see him moving on. But I think the Chiefs would probably want him back. The safety market, Mike Edwards, I could see him back. He might be the one that's most likely back to me because you're seeing some safeties hit the market here. So I think that it could be a depressed safety market, for the player side of it, getting maximum dollars. And you got to remember, he really didn't sign for much this time last year. So I could see Mike Edwards being back in a capacity as well.
That's an interesting way to look at it. And that, especially with the different safeties that are on the market now with Justin Simmons and Jordan Poyer, Michael Hyde's out there, that a guy like Mike Edwards gets pushed further and further and further down. It's also not it's not a great safety draft class either. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I worry about Dana and Tranquill. I would love to have them both back. And I would, good for Dana, but I would hate for a team to value him, the money that he actually is worth. So that he can return to the Chiefs. That'd be great. I'd love to have him on this Chiefs team. I think he's changed sort of the way he's remembered in this town over the last year, and good for him because of how he played and the different roles he played, and that's why he'll get some money. I just hope a team doesn't view him as highly as the Chiefs view him in terms of money, but we'll find out. Well, maybe the Chiefs view him as high in terms of money. They just can't do it. I mean, they viewed Tyreek Hill as a guy that they would love to pay, but they just couldn't do it to make it work, or chose not to. They could make it work, but they chose not to because of how it would impact the rest of the team, and those are the decisions you have to make. And that's why the Bills are going through their purge, is because the salary cap is flexible. It's also real, and you got to be in compliance, and there's a lot of teams that are shaving salary cap dollars and losing some pretty good players along the way, while the Chiefs are sitting there wondering who they're going to add and if they'll get draft picks back for some of their players. So we'll find out. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KCSN.substack.com, the KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. Big week ahead of us, and we'll see what happens over the next week for the NFL, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, let's just get this all over with so we can move on. But, appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. There's Kent Swanson. Let's get to next Wednesday. And, next Thursday, whatever, have a pretty decent idea of what's happening in the free agent market, pretty decent idea of what's happening with L'Jarius Sneed. And then you start to move on to the draft, players and positional groups of emphasis. And if there's a specific strategy or plan of attack for the Chiefs in the front office in the draft, because there has been that over the last few years. We know different off seasons have been a focal point of specific things. After the 2018 season and the loss to the Patriots, the specific focal point was defense. How do you improve the defense? Leaders. Guys that'll be there, guys that can rally the troops. Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, guys like that. And they were big. They went a long way in helping this Chiefs team get to multiple Super Bowls. And, Frank Clark playing in 3 Super Bowls in his time with the Kansas City Chiefs and winning 2 of them. And after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers debacle, well, I guess the year after that would be the run it back. They didn't have a whole lot of guys that were free agents. They had to, they worked on the contract with Mahomes. They franchise tagged Chris Jones. And then other guys that they, quote, ran it back with pretty, guys that were under contract, and for the most part, and then some smaller, guys that they brought back on smaller deals. So it wasn't as big of a deal in terms of getting everybody back. Like this would be run it back, re-sign Snead, re-sign Chris Jones. Bigger question marks there. What are you going to do after that? Can you sign Tranquill and Dana and Edwards? And that would really be pushing your chips into the table for a three-peat more than what we've seen the Chiefs do. And so they took the strategy of run it back. It was easier. But then after the Bucs, offensive line. Traded for Orlando Brown. Signed Joe Thuney. Tried to get Trent Williams. Then traded for Orlando Brown. Drafted Creed Humphrey. Drafted Trey Smith. They attacked the offensive line. Then in 2022, you've got to get faster, younger, more athletic on defense. And they attacked the defense with athletes and skill players, and they helped rebuild the Chiefs' defense with that 2022 class. And parts along the way with a Willie Gay and a Nick Bolton, et cetera, a Mike Dana, building that. And then last year, I think it was thrown off course with Chris Jones. And I think it was how do you address the wide receiver spot, the offensive line, the left tackle. They went out and signed Jawan Taylor to take care of that. Donovan Smith, eventually they signed him. But it was smaller pieces to bring in while figuring out Chris Jones to see if you can get another big piece in. That Chris Jones aspect didn't ever come to fruition, but the Tranquill, the Mike Edwards signing, Donovan Smith, players like that, those signings certainly helped out, paid dividends for this Chiefs team. And this offseason, to me, it's a wide receiver. It's a wide receiver offseason. We'll see how Brett Veach approaches the offseason. We'll see how Brett Veach approaches the draft. If it's going to be the full speed ahead, full rudder to wide receivers and revamp that positional group. We're also figuring out Chris Jones, figuring out L'Jarius Sneed, linebacker spot, because you've got two guys under contract right now, and Nick Bolton and Leo Chanel, that were, active rosters in the Super Bowl, with Tranquill and Willie Gay being free agents. Safety, Mike Edwards being a free agent, Deion Bush, etc. And that defensive line, you got a lot of work to do there as well. But so much of the focus, I believe, will be on more skill position players and what they can do to help out Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what ends up happening that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to look at some teams around the AFC and a closer look as to what happened in 2022. We talked about it a couple days ago in looking at the numbers and the overall numbers and the desperation that was there for other teams and what took place there, what's happening now, and the purge that may still take place with other teams just to get in compliance with the NFL and the position the Chiefs are in. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. Did you see this rare summer, late spring summer we're going to have the first time in 221 years? It's going to be a banner year for cicadas. There are two types of cicadas in the world. This reads from the AP. One that emerges every 17 years, and another every 13 years. In 2024, both are coming up from the ground for the first time in 221 years. I'm already mad. I'm already annoyed, man.
As soon as you said banner year for cicadas, I tuned it out a bit.
Does that even mean a banner year for cicadas? Good for them. Good for you, cicadas.
I'm like,
go get your championship.
Sandra Bullock on that, I can't for the life of me, the movie where she's blindfolded. You can't see anything.
Oh, yeah.
Bird Box.
Bird Box,
That's
yeah.
me with that news right there. If I don't see it, I don't have to deal with it or think about it
It's
until
the other way.
until it happens.
It's the ears. Oh, I see what you're saying. Out of sight, out of mind
Out of
until
sight,
it
out of
happens.
mind. Yeah.
Then you got to plug the ears.
Yeah.
Reading this, it's like how to deal with cicadas. Noise canceling headphones, or just put in earplugs. No, I want to kill them. I don't want them around. Which is going to, just as figuring out cryptic tweet season would be an exercise in futility, trying to do that with the cicadas, but oh man.
It's going to be a banner year as well for those like tennis racket electrical
Oh, dude, I love those, man.
things.
I love those things.
Yeah.
Absolutely love them. I had a field day with those last fall when we had the fly outbreak in our unfinished part of the basement, our storage. Turns out I didn't even realize, but we had a carcass down. No, we did not. From a movie line, right? You got a carcass down here. We did not have that. Apparently, it's a natural thing to where during the fall they would find a place to then hibernate and blah, blah, blah. Cluster flies or whatever. So we had tons of them. And man, I was John McEnroe. I was just swatting them left and right. I was Andre Agassi. I was both Williams sisters. I was Serena and Venus. All fall. And that was fun. But that didn't get nearly enough of them. I still had to do the fly strips.
A lot of aces. A lot of aces.
I had a lot
return.
of aces. That's right. I was winning a lot of matches, but not actually having anything to show for it. You know what it was? I was the amateur. I was through the amateur circuit. I was winning, but nothing to show for it except for, that's a pretty good run you had there. Pretty decent run. I don't know if that's going to be the same thing with the cicadas, but man, every 17 and 13. What about last year? Didn't we have a bunch of them last year? I just remember being loud as hell. And now it's going to be even worse this summer. Some people like the sound. It's soothing, and it reminds them of nature and all of that. That's fine, but I don't like them killing the apples in my apple tree, which is what's going to happen. So now that I know there's going to be 1 billion of them out there. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do there. Obviously, I'm not going to use a pesticide on the apples. That ain't going to happen. I don't know. Maybe the grass will grow a little bit better as they promote that stuff. But yeah, just came across my timeline. Thought I would pass that along to everybody just to make your Thursday a little bit better. I don't know. Does that mean those working in landscaping, maybe they'll have a nice run of it? Tex says, absolutely love the sound of cicadas. Reminds me so much of my summers in KC. I might get that.
Some cicadas is fine. It's, what was the number that we are expecting here?
Billion.
Yeah, that's the number that's a little loud.
Billions, I guess, is the number. Billions. Tex said, last time the cicadas were bad, they completely destroyed a full-size weeping willow I planted in my son's memory. Couldn't believe how much damage they can do. See? That's awful. Tex says, I believe that was the Japanese beetle that kills your fruit. Yeah, that's probably right. I don't care where the beetle's from, okay? I don't care. It can be from Missouri or Kansas or South Dakota, Japan, wherever. Don't like them.
It's a nice reminder that one of the great things about winter is no bugs. No insects,
That's
no
true.
nothing. That is one of the perks of winter.
And not 110 degrees.
Exactly.
Where's Mick Schaefer at, huh, Mick? Because you can't have the really hot temperature without the bugs. You can't have one without the other. Come on, man. Tex said, last time cicadas were bad, the place in Colombia made cicada ice cream. Is that true? Or is that like some sort of gotcha text?
I don't know, but I do know that Baltimore has like a parade for cicadas.
Really? Well, they're going to enjoy
It's
themselves.
another reason to hate Baltimore. So
Do they? I mean, I thought it was the Midwest that got the cicadas. That was Baltimore dealing with them. Text says, kill one beetle, 100 more come back. I have no idea. No idea. I just know I finally figured out the issues and got the tomato plants growing without having to worry about the squirrels and the rabbits and all of that stuff. So I've got that figured out. It's ridiculous, man. All right, we do need to take a timeout. Catching up with Ken Swanson in the previous segment, we will get into more of the NFL, and I do want to talk about the what took place yesterday and what else can take place for the Buffalo Bills and just this offseason and the transferring of power that can go on in the AFC with the moves that are being made and over the last couple of years. That's the next step of, well, we know all of these things might have been mistakes, but now what? We'll talk a little bit about that next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Dylan Michaels. We had up until 2 o'clock. All right, so we'll talk about some things going on in the NFL and moves that are being made. There was cryptic tweets that were made about an hour and a half ago in which my assessment is that, well, after having fun with it and knowing what the reaction is going to be on social media and in general, my reaction and takeaway is that it's Chris Jones being Chris Jones. He's done this before. He did it last year. He did it during training camp. He did it as during the preseason. And he's doing it now as we're just days away from the legal tampering period. Free agency essentially beginning. And as I said, and I'll continue to say, while Monday at 11 a.m. is the opening of agents and teams officially being able to start negotiating, you are a fool if you think that that's the first time they would have contacted each other about said player that's going to be a free agent. It's different if the player is under contract or a franchise tag, etc., and the team has not asked them to or told them they have permission to go and seek a trade. Then that would be grounds for tampering. And maybe this, could be the same thing, but let's be honest. Those things, all of the conversations that happened at the Combine, the fact that Brett Veach and the front office had in-person meetings with the Katz brothers meant that they were in Indianapolis at the Combine. The only people they talked to was the Chiefs about Chris Jones. Oh, sure, they've got other clients and they could be talking to other teams, but while sitting down with those teams with their other clients and talking about those guys, Chris Jones, they know the market for him, or at least they should know the market for him. I think we all understood that they misread the market last year, or at least misread what the Chiefs were willing to give him. Both sides know the number. They know the number. And I don't know that the Chiefs want to be in a position that the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Chargers and the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins in the position they are in, because the Chiefs are not chasing desperation of let's go all in because we've never won it before. Like, honestly, the Buffalo Bills 2 years ago, after the 13-second game in 2021, so, almost 3 years ago, but 2.5 years ago. No, I guess it was that was 2021 season, but 2022 January of that. So the Buffalo Bills at that time had never won a Super Bowl. They still haven't. But at the time, they'd never won a Super Bowl. But they looked at their roster and group of players and said, what's it going to take for us to win one? To win one. And they did what they thought was good enough for them to go and win a Super Bowl. It's coming back to bite them now. They gave themselves a 2-year window. It didn't work. They shot their shot. They swung, they missed. And now they're dragging their bat back to the dugout to try again. The Chiefs don't have to do that. That's the enviable position they are in. Is that, one, they don't have to do that because they banked 3 Super Bowls. They just banked 3 Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in this group. They aren't in dire straits. They already have the coach and quarterback figured out. They have so much of a head start on the pack, and they're not being dragged down by albatross contracts. Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. Who's going to sit in today in the 1 o'clock hour for Sports or Leisure?
That would be the one and only Sterling Holmes.
Oh, how about that? Sterling Holmes will be here for the 1 o'clock hour playing a little Sports or Leisure. He'll get the leisure side, right?
Yes, affectionately known as Stu.
Stu. I have never actually known, nor have I asked, why his nickname is Stu as opposed to Sterling. Is it on-air appropriate? I don't know.
I don't know. I always thought it was just kind of like the shortened version of Sterling.
Is Sterling shortened, or is Stu
kind of like
short
a
for Sterling?
Salvi, like a Salvador is Salvi.
Stewie Sterling?
Yeah.
Is Sterling long for Stu?
Maybe. I don't know.
I have no idea. I didn't know that. I don't know many Sterlings. I know two of them, Sterling Holmes
Exactly.
and Sterling Mahomes.
This is the only Sterling I know. So that's what I always thought was Stu was just
Do the Mahomes call their daughter Stu?
no.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I know
Might
two
be the
Sterlings.
masculine version of the shortened Sterling. There might be a
So she might be Sta.
Yeah, there you go.
Sta. I have no idea. Maybe she's got a nickname. I have no idea. Most kids have some sort of a nickname, right? You know, even if it's not like a shortened name. You know, what was your nickname?
Just D or Pickle. Or
Oh, why'd you call it Pickle? Pickle.
Dill Pickle. Yeah. Or Chaz. Chaz was a big one.
But your parents, they called you Pickle?
No.
Okay.
No. Just D.
Parents just called it D.
Short.
Okay.
Easy.
That makes sense.
My sister also, when she was a baby, that was easy for her to say. That was probably why.
Makes total sense. Everett's got a lot of nicknames. It's Bubs, Bubba,
Little man.
Bubby, Little Man, EJ.
EJ's cool.
Yeah.
EJ's a good one.
EJ. That's usually when he's got other Everetts.
Two initials is always a very solid nickname.
When he's got other Everetts on his teams, he'll go by EJ.
Yes.
Like Everett. Well, just call him
Go
EJ.
by EJ.
Just call him EJ. You know, he's got that. You know, and
EJ Anderson sounds like
yeah,
OJ Anderson, the old running back. Just sounds like a
that's
sports
exactly right.
name.
I don't think he's going to play running back. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's going to be the case. He doesn't have the athletic profile in our family.
You know, C-Mac, a lot of people.
Yep, that's right. And Ed McCaffrey and C-Mac's mom, who was a track star.
Yep.
Little different.
He played high school basketball, though. It's kind of similar.
My wife is the athlete in the family, okay? She's the athlete. So he's not getting two sides of athletes, unfortunately. He'll get hand-eye coordination from me. That's what he'll get, all right? So it'll help you catch the football. I ain't going to help you get open. You're going to have to figure that out on your own. He's a lot lacking in the Ladd McConkey camp, all right? It's like, oh, white receiver. Yeah, but that guy is so freaking quick. His stops and starts and agility are next level. Is Ladd, and it will be next level because it'll be, you know, in NFL next year and years after that as well. But yeah, baseball or basketball, you can be a shooter. You can be a shooter, you know, baseball, whatever. But yeah, Juliet is easy. It's Juliet. But yeah, so Stu will be with us in the 1 o'clock hour.
Yes.
Stu Sterling Holmes will be hanging out. That's presented by Johnny's Tavern. You get $25 to Johnny's Tavern by listening and playing. Really, playing is the main thing that you want to do for sports or leisure. The Bills made 10 moves yesterday. Well, they made
Good ones?
fun
Fun ones?
They made like 8 moves yesterday. They made other moves that in the offseason, but 8 moves yesterday.
Bills were transactional.
Yeah, you're darn right. J.J. Picola was in charge of the Bills there. Just like the middle class in the NFL, they cannot pay their bills. The middle class of the NFL, just like everybody else, can't pay bills.
Spend a little too much a couple years ago, and
That's right. Now
all comes due.
Now the credit card's coming due.
Yep.
Now that revolving interest is coming back to bite you in the butt. So the Bills release Mitch Morse, save $8.5 million in cap space. Release Jordan Poyer, $5.7 million. Naheem Hines, $4.6 million. Deontay Hardy, $4.2 million. Saron Neal, $2.8 million. They converted roster and signing with Russell Douglas, clearing $2.5. Renegotiated Von Miller. He took a pay cut and saved $8.6. And then post June 1, designation to release Tre'Davious White, which will be a cap savings of $10.2 million, but they will carry the $16.4 million cap hit for Tre'Davious White into June, and then they will split that up between $6 million this year and $4 million next year, but they'll save about $10.2 in cap space after June 2nd by doing all of that. After doing all of that, they're still over the cap. They are still about $8 million over the cap for the Buffalo Bills.
The Saints take all the hits for them. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone just sees that as like Saints off-season 101, basically. And
I mean, and I don't
the Bills
know.
fly under the radar here.
I mean, what else the Bills can do? I'm not sure. Other people would have to look at their contracts to see what else can happen with the Bills to continue to clear cap space. Josh Allen is a big one. They can convert some money from Josh Allen. They could save like $20 million. That's probably what's going to happen. Convert that with Josh Allen, save that money, kick the can down the road with Josh Allen. But also in some of these restructures, renegotiations, things like that, like Russell Douglas is going to have like a $4 million cap hit next year on a voided contract year. Okay, well, they aren't taking it right now. You have to find a way to absorb that, to try to limit and cushion that and extend that out as long as you can to try to not take the entire hit right now. It's going to be a couple of years for them to figure that out. Again, they shot their shot, like I said in the previous hour. They hadn't won a Super Bowl. They went all in. I understand that strategy. Denver Broncos, Chargers, Raiders, I understand the strategy. But I don't think building your team should be to chase one team. I think building your team should be to build your team the best that it can be, the health that year and years down the road, to try to win a division, right? Try to win a Super Bowl. But it shouldn't be we got to catch the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs, it's the Chiefs. It's the same thing I said a couple of years ago when the Baltimore Ravens were talking about trading Orlando Brown, and people were saying the Ravens are never going to trade Orlando Brown to the Chiefs. Why would they make the Chiefs better? And my point was, that's a dumb way of approaching the offseason and approaching your team. Who cares if you make the Chiefs better if you make yourself better? Well, it's all about the Chiefs. It shouldn't be all about the Chiefs. It should be about you. But other teams viewed it all about the Chiefs a couple of years ago. And now they are paying a hefty and steep price. Because if you look at the Chargers, for instance, and they go out and they get themselves a new coaching staff and GM and all of that stuff, and they're $20 million still over the cap after Corey Linsley's retirement. And by the way, a couple of years ago, Corey Linsley was one of the top free agents available. And we had conversations on this show about, do they sign Corey Linsley? And they didn't sign Corey Linsley. They drafted Creed Humphrey. They signed Joe Thuney and drafted Creed Humphrey and didn't sign the best free agent center out there. The Chargers did. It's unfortunate with his heart condition that he's now retiring. It'll save them about $9 million in the cap by Linsley retiring. They have already released Eric Kendricks. Not that, huge of a hit. The Broncos have released, Justin Simmons. We know that. But the Chargers still sit $20 million over the cap right now. They've got better draft position than some others. But they are looking at, they could trade Khalil Mack. They could save $24 million on the cap if they traded Khalil Mack. You could trade Keenan Allen, save $23 million. Release Mike Williams, post June 1 designation, you save $20 million. The Derwin James contract can kick the can down the road a little bit more, take a bigger hit on the back end to free up now. The Chiefs are figuring out, can they keep both Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed? And if not, can they sign Chris Jones and get something back for L'Jarius Sneed in a trade? Certainly, if the Chargers trade Keenan Allen and trade Khalil Mack, they could get something back for them. But you're severely hampering their team. And I think the approach for the Chargers and certainly the Raiders, the Broncos have taken the approach of, we just simply have to look at this next 2 or 3 years is how do we dig ourselves out of this hole? Can we find a quarterback along the way? Can we build a team along the way? But we have to take a 3 and 4 year plan. We have to take a 3 or 4 year look at this realistically as to what they're going to do. The Chiefs and everybody's going to have a 3 or 4 year plan. Like Brett Veach in the front office, they will have, what's the plan going to be 4 years from now? Well, here's what we hope it'll be. But also in the time being, here's how you win a Super Bowl this year. The Broncos can't take that approach. The Chargers can try to take that approach if they want to, but they've got to figure out ways to get compliant with the NFL and the salary cap. And the Broncos are taking the approach of it's better right now to take this huge, massive hit for Russell Wilson and just say this starts the process of getting back where they were before they made the decision, the fateful decision to trade for Russell Wilson and give him that awful extension. The Miami Dolphins end up losing in the first round the last couple of years. One because of Tua being injured, and the other because they played the Chiefs. And their injuries, whatever. And it was cold outside. It was really cold. But the Dolphins are still sitting, how far are they under the cap? They're a decent amount under the cap, are the Dolphins. They are $17 million over, I should say. I keep saying under. They're $17 million over the cap, are the Dolphins. So they've released Emmanuel Ogbah. They've released Jerome Baker. And they still have $17 million to go. Now they could extend to a Tagovailoa and alleviate some of the cap there.
They still have to do Christian Wilkins too.
Christian Wilkins. I mean, they may be forced to. They didn't franchise tag him,
which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably looking and saying if we franchise tag this guy, it's $20 million. We're already $17 million over. Now we got to carry the $20 million to franchise tag him. Now we're sitting at 37. They could have franchise tagged him and maybe tried to trade him and just take what was ever there.
Then teams know that's what you're doing, so they're
right.
going to be like, "Oh, all right, we'll give you a 7th."
Yeah, and like, you know what? We'll take the maybe a 3rd round compensatory pick because we can't go out and sign massive free agents this offseason, and he's going to sign a pretty big deal. So maybe that comp pick will get us a 3rd rounder in 2025 as opposed to a 6th or a 7th rounder right now in the 2024 draft. We'll take that, next year. It'll be back into the 3rd round, but it'll essentially be a top 4th round pick. And if we can't get that for Christian Wilkins, then we'll walk. And we don't have the finances to go and spend a lot of money in free agency to offset that formula for a
They didn't even
pick.
give him the chance to do that, by tagging him.
Right.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, you could have tagged him, and then I guess could you just
made the decision later?
Yeah, tag him and then release him from the tag. If somebody goes out and signs him.
But like you said, just play on the tag. Maybe get something like a compensatory pick or something that you can.
But they've still got. I mean, they've still got some moves to make to get there.
At least they got Tyreek Hill, though.
They do, and they're probably going to have to restructure that contract in some way. Base salary, signing bonus, restructure that to move some of the cap hit because he's sitting at $30 million this year in a cap hit. They're $17 million over the cap, and he's 30 against it. They're $17 million over the cap. Their 3rd rounder is forfeited because of the investigation, the reason they lost a 1st rounder a couple of years ago. But their 3rd rounder is forfeited. They're $17 million over the cap, and they don't have an expensive quarterback. And they don't have the $50, $40 million quarterback against the cap. Tua's a $23 million cap hit this year.
And also, do you pay Tua? They have to answer that question as well.
Right. Because if you pay Tua, well, then you can lower the cap hit, but now you are with Tua the rest of the way. You're with Tua the rest of the way. In fact, let's hear Tyreek Hill. This was the Pivot Podcast. This soundbite was a lot about Patrick Mahomes. And I do want to discuss the Patrick Mahomes element of this soundbite from the Pivot Podcast with Ryan Clark. But it ties into to what the off seasons are like for these different teams and the potential transfer of power in the AFC for teams that have maneuverability. The Houston Texans, for instance. Have they found their coaching quarterback, and they have $70 million available in cap space right now.
And no state income tax.
And they got draft picks.
Yep.
The Chicago Bears have to figure out their quarterback, but they've got $60 million of cap space. The Patriots, if I was the Patriots, if the Bears are thinking about keeping Justin Fields, which it seems like they're going to trade him, if I was the Patriots, I would trade for the number 1 pick. I would trade with if the Bears are looking for the best deal to trade out of number 1 and keep Justin Fields. I don't think that's the reality. I think they're going to draft Caleb Williams. If I was the Patriots, I would do whatever it takes to jump up and get Caleb Williams. And I've got $80 million of cap space. The Detroit Lions have $55 million of cap space right now. I know that's the NFC, right? Not necessarily the AFC. But if we're looking at like AFC teams and things like that, there's a lot of AFC teams that are down near the bottom of cap space because of decisions they've made to try to catch the Chiefs. The teams that are in position with like a quarterback and other really good players and health in certain spots and cap space. Not a lot of it.
But the teams that did stayed the course. They didn't try and do a quick fix like the Bills. Like the Ravens haven't been in the AFC Championship every year, but they've been in contention, and but for injuries to their franchise quarterback, you know, they've stayed the course. They've drafted how the Ravens drafted, and they play how the Ravens want to play, which is running the football and defense. Yeah. And lo and behold, that's how you actually beat the Chiefs. So if the Bills would have stuck to that formula with an actually good power-running quarterback, which was why they succeeded towards the end of the year anyway, which just makes it so bizarre that, I mean, they're gutting their whole team because they tried to quick fix it, but you really didn't have to play this way. You have a quarterback that can run power, so why not just run the football and play defense, which they've never really done. They've instead traded for Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and all this and tried to air it out.
See if you can find a theme here. The teams with the least cap space or in the negative in cap space to then the most cap space. I'll start from the bottom, number 32, and up and see the teams here. Chargers, Dolphins, Saints every year, Bills, Ravens, Broncos, Cowboys, 49ers, Browns, Chiefs, Steelers, Packers, Panthers, Jags. There's your bottom half of the league in
minus the
cap
Panthers
space.
And the Saints. Those are playoff teams.
A lot of playoff teams, but a lot of teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
A lot of teams. Chargers, AFC West. Dolphins trying to catch the Chiefs. Bills trying to catch the Chiefs. Ravens there all year and now an expensive quarterback. Broncos trying to catch the Chiefs. Browns trying to catch the Bengals and Ravens in their own division. But also, going out and doing the absurdity of, acquiring Deshaun Watson. Jags. Right there, ready to catch the Chiefs.
Browns have to be so happy about the Russell Wilson stuff as far as like bad trades for over-the-hill quarterbacks.
No doubt. And you see the teams at the top with the most cap space right now. Commanders, Titans, Patriots, Texans, that's the team to keep an eye on. Bears, Lions, Colts, Cardinals, Bengals, again, team to keep an eye on.
But that's going to go down.
Yeah, it'll go down with but his cap number and T. Higgins' franchise tag is already added in with that. So they've got some maneuverability, certainly. Raiders and then Seahawks, Rams, Falcons, Giants, Vikings, Eagles, a lot of teams in the NFC there. So there's some transfer of power. The Houston Texans are a team to keep an eye on this offseason. To say next year, the year after that, and go, all right, it's Chiefs and Texans this year. Chiefs and Texans. Why? Well, coach and quarterback, they could be right. C.J. Stroud looked pretty good.
And he lost Tank Dell midseason.
He lost Tank Dell midseason. And they are in a position to really make moves. If they're smart about it, and if they're smart about, the draft picks that they make, because you still have to do that. Still have to make the right choices in the draft. And they've got pick number 23. And they traded their other. So they got pick number 23 from Cleveland. Do the Houston Texans. And they also have pick number 59. So they got pick 23 and 59 and $70 million of cap space. And a couple of wide receivers that they've already figured out, that they feel good about, and a quarterback they feel good about, a coach they feel good about, and they can go make some moves. Hell, they could trade for Why aren't they, you talked about in trading for L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah. I just don't think We should not be trading within the conference ever.
See, I look at it and,
And
say,
vice versa. No
what
one is
makes-
ever going to trade us anything.
what makes the Chiefs better is not worrying about another team. Whatever, focus on you, and if it makes you better, if you want to trade L'Jarius Sneed to the Chargers, whatever, trade him to the Raiders. I get it. I understand why it would be viewed as that doesn't seem smart. All
Not
things
that
being
team.
equal,
I think you can trade in conference with a team that you think
Yeah.
is never going to be
Right.
in your way.
all things being equal, though, if it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, and I've got the Lions or the Texans that I'm trading with, and you're like, okay, this is even compensation,
Lions.
I'll trade him to the Lions and not trade him to a team that we may see in the playoffs.
It's a Charles Haley
Yeah.
trade, basically.
Absolutely.
Just always have that on your whiteboard because the Niners were good, all good, and the Cowboys just needed one piece. And the Niners traded him to Dallas, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's like we'll trade him to a team. If we see that team in New Orleans, hey, great. We'll take our chances because we're in the Super Bowl. But if we have to see that team at Arrowhead, as opposed to, or maybe in Houston going there, depending on the records, we'll see. But that's definitely a team to keep an eye on. 2 picks in the top 53 and $70 million when we talk about sort of transfer power that's available there. But here's Tyreek Hill when speaking of the Dolphins, but also his discussion around Patrick Mahomes and the leader that he is, but also mentions Tua in this because we know a couple of years ago we were talking about the Tua and Patrick Mahomes via Tyreek Hill and his cool podcast.
I ain't gonna lie, Pat, he a different dude, bro. Like he obviously the best quarterback in the league. And now what I said about Tua being the most accurate, you know what I'm saying? Like this year, and I'm gonna talk about Tua, then I'm gonna get back to Patrick.
Yeah.
This year for Tua, like this is like a build-on season because this is obviously his best season of his career. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna go from accurate to being that fearless, cocky, or not really cocky, but you know
the
what
way
I'm
he
saying?
plays the game.
Yeah, like the way you play the game. Like
Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
He gonna continue to add on to his game. You feel me?
Right.
Like cause he got the skill set and he got the supporting cast to do it. You feel me? With all the weapons that he got around him. Now Pat a different dude, and I'm gonna tell you how he's a different dude. I can't remember what year it was, but we was like on a bad streak. All like his supporting cast was playing bad. Me, Kelsey, all of D-Rob, Miko, Sammy. We always playing bad. This dude called the whole offense up. He called the whole offense up. This was like on a Tuesday, I believe. He called us all up. He cussed all of us the out. Like, and me and Pat, we go back and forth. Yeah. But that was a moment right there where like he stood on business, and it was like, bro, I really respect this because he really just called out all his weapons, individually pointed us out, looked us in the eyes, and said, bro, Reed, you think you so fast, but you can't catch the ball. You want to be the best receiver in the game, and he was letting me have it. Then he went to Kelsey. Then he went to D-Rob. Then he went to Sammy. Like he went to all of us, calling us all out. And in that moment right there, I was like, yo, it's go time now. Like that put so much, like that put so much, like, I don't know what it put in my fuel in my heart, bro. Like that next game, that's when we begin to get things rolling. Because you never want to get called out by the leader of your team like that. You don't. Yeah. You don't. And it's like, bro,
That's just goes.
I'm not gonna let nobody die in this circle right here no more. And we start killing after that.
There's a lot there with Patrick Mahomes, and I want to get into that on the other side of the break, but also as we talk about, the teams that we were seeing in the playoffs this year, teams that, may or may not be there next year, teams that have big decisions to make this offseason and moves to make. We're talking about Miami and being, over the cap right now and trying to get, compliant with the NFL. And their decision they have to make with Tua. You hear Tyreek Hill there saying, look, I know that I said, Tua the most accurate, Patrick Mahomes a different dude. This is a big year for Tua. He's got to prove that he can take the next step. This is a huge year for Tua. Right, the Dolphins are in the position they are right now with their quarterback still, low 20s cap number, not signed long term, and their best playmaker saying, this is a big year to prove that he's the guy. So is he the guy or is he not? You may believe he's the guy, but do the Dolphins believe he's the guy? Or is this year, from the Dolphins' standpoint, a year to prove he's the guy so they can then pay him that money? Because if he's really the guy, they would extend him this offseason. And maybe they're working on that. Maybe they're working on extending him this offseason and lowering that cap number and believing that he really is the guy. But I'll tell you this, he isn't the guy the second the timing is thrown off. He isn't the guy the second he has to get off his spot. And would he still be the guy without Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Can you be the guy that's making all that money without having premier receivers like that? Patrick had one in Travis Kelce, but he's proven that he can do that without the high-end premier receivers. And also, it doesn't matter if he's on a spot or not on a spot. It doesn't matter if he's off or on platform when he's throwing the ball. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk about the Patrick Mahomes aspect of that, and also some fun clips from New Heights that are out there about visiting the zoo, about Apollo and Yoko, and the difference between the Onos, and a couple of emotional, or at least one emotional clip from Travis Kelce. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. 42810 WHB, this Thursday edition of The Zone. Heading up until 2 o'clock. Sports or leisure comes our way at 1 o'clock. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Let's hear from, we heard Tyreek Hill there. And you know what, let's, I want to talk about the Patrick Mahomes side of that first. And it isn't, we're not breaking any ground here and discussing, land that has never been discovered before, but hearing Tyreek Hill tell the story about what happened behind the scenes of guys weren't playing well, and Patrick Mahomes went in there and just cussed everybody out. Tyreek, you think you're so great. You're the fastest receiver, but you can't even catch the ball. D-Rob, I don't know what he said to Demarcus Robinson. Probably something about, hey, run forward this time. Okay, when you catch the ball, run the other way. You're a second grader that gets the ball after halftime and runs the other way with the basketball and scores on the wrong goal. We're going that way. All right, understand which way the end zone is for us. I don't know if that's what he said or not. Sammy, try to stay healthy. That'd be great. But behind the scenes, and it's not a surprise because, Patrick Mahomes has always been a guy publicly that will go to bat, that will take the hits for the player, that against the Philadelphia Eagles, he throws the ball and it lands in Marquez Valdes-Scantling's hands for a touchdown and to take the lead in that game. And it's dropped. And after the game is over, he says, well, I could have thrown it a little shorter. I could have put a little less air. I could have thrown this 50-yard pass in the air 48 and a half yards. Had I to do it over again, that's the way that I would approach that. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but apparently we know that behind the scenes that if you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing, that Patrick Mahomes will hold you accountable and is not just going to, take the medicine constantly over and over again and just be like, oh, you guys are fine, I got you. He'll do that publicly, but behind the scenes, Travis, Tyreek, Sammy, the best set of weapons he's ever had, we're getting the blood end of Patrick Mahomes and his frustration with how they were playing. I can only imagine what was going on maybe behind the scenes in this go-around.
At least he doesn't do it publicly, though. Like
exactly.
That's a big deal. Like publicly, I understand, Michael Jordan. But also, it's famously Kwame Brown got destroyed. His confidence, again, Kwame Brown had a lot of issues, but his confidence was destroyed because it was all made public. I wonder what would happen with some of these guys who can never live up to their potential if someone behind the scenes got into them, not in front of everyone, and then all of a sudden, now you're a laughingstock. Mahomes, in my opinion, does this the right way.
Yeah, and also, I do wonder, behind the scenes with this group, how much can you yell over and over again or get frustrated with those guys over and over again to where you just go, this is who they are. And the more I just yell, it doesn't even matter. For instance, we were talking with Myron Metcalf on Tuesday, and I had mentioned, Bill Self going into the Sunflower Showdown that Tuesday night, and what Bill Self's reaction was to the loss at Baylor, and said, I'm less discouraged, not necessarily encouraged, but less discouraged than I would be after other losses. And sort of his approach now moving forward, and Myron's point was, well, yeah, it's March. Tearing them down and pointing out all the flaws is not going to do you any good. This is the team. So this is a time where you've got to invest in what you have and talk about what you have and those guys and try to build them up in their confidence, because just simply tearing them down is January and early February. Yeah. Tearing them down maybe behind the scenes is early to mid-season at that point. Late in the season, it's go time. It's go time. And by the way, after Kadarius Toney dropped the ball against the New England Patriots that was intercepted, how much did he play after that? So publicly, I'm not saying anything bad about Kadarius Toney. Privately, the dude wasn't on the field anymore. So I don't think that's a coincidence. He said he wasn't injured in his Instagram live post that he was talking about the, quote, Giants in that whole thing.
The team is trying to help you, Kadarius.
No doubt, man. No doubt. But that, sort of behind the scenes that I do wonder, it's okay, how much, at what point it's all right, enough. We just got to accept what's going on here, and I can't be annoyed with them constantly because this person doesn't have it. Whereas with that group, if they're not playing well, they're not up to par, it's Kelsey and Tyreek and Sammy Watkins and those guys. There's more there to get from them. Who knows if there's more there for Kadarius Toney? I don't think there is.
I also think everyone has different leading styles. Some guys are very boisterous who in the media, they'll call people out. They want to get the best of you. They think that's how they get the best out of you. But also, I think with Mahomes, he understands, especially in today's day and age, let's be real now. 20 years ago, that was way more common. 20 years ago, it felt like dudes could handle that better. If you want to say younger guys are coddled now, younger guys maybe have less thick skin, I'll entertain it. But it's also who grew those guys or who taught those guys to be like that. And two, that's fine. You have to reach these guys differently. I'm not saying everyone, but every single person takes criticism differently. Some guys you have to say, hey, you know what? You did this right, but here's what we can work on. And other guys, you can just ream them, and they'll respond for you. It's all about who takes criticism the right way, or should I say, a different way.
Yeah, looking through here, and I'm trying to find. So Patrick Mahomes and was that interception that happened against the Patriots? That was in the second quarter, right? It took place. That was no, the one in the second quarter was to Blake Bell. So then the one late in the fourth quarter that he had intercepted was for Kadarius Toney. So that was in the fourth quarter. Kadarius Toney interception. Chiefs were up 27-10. Looking through here now, just to the Chiefs had one possession after that. Patrick Mahomes threw to Rashee Rice. He threw to Rashee Rice. He was sacked by Mack Wilson, and then he took 3 knees after that. I bring that up because maybe this is already talked about. Maybe this is dumb for me not to even acknowledge it or not to have seen this before. But that was the last target for Kadarius Toney this year. Did you realize that?
No.
Dylan, did you realize that the last target to Kadarius Toney was the one that went through his hands and intercepted by the Patriots?
No.
He was inactive the rest of the season. He was inactive against the Raiders, the Bengals, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Ravens, and the 49ers. He didn't see an attempt again. Maybe he was actually injured. Or maybe Mahomes went to him and said, enough! Enough with this dude. Get him off the field. I'm not dealing with it anymore, especially when he goes back to the bench and you can read his lips that goes, I just told him. I just said that. And he's not listening. Not reaching him. Not happening. We're moving forward without him. No bueno. And maybe no mas. Maybe Andy Reid. Maybe it was Blameyer. Maybe it was Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it was Matt Nagy. I'm not sure. But maybe he was, quote, injured. But there was clearly a conversation and something happened behind the scenes to where they decided it's enough of Kadarius Toney this year.
I think Sky Moore had a similar situation as well. Hey, Sky, you good to go? Yeah, I'm fine. No, man. Ugh, I don't know about that one.
Is that a limp? No, I'm perfectly fine. Well, let's look at the MRI. I don't want to show you the MRI because it's not great. It's not great. We did an X-ray on your chest. There's no dog in there. So we saw Jalen Watson's, and there was like 5 dogs in there.
That's incredible, by the way. Jalen Watson, that story is nuts. That's how you win over a fan base.
Yes.
Again, you may never be a superstar, but people will always remember you for what you did. Like, for example, Gil Mesh, I always remember him giving money back to the Royals organization. Good pitcher, not great, but you remember those little things. We'll look back, I think, in history and say, yeah, Jalen Watson played through that shoulder injury, had surgery, goes, no, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, I can wait. I can, put off the surgery until the season's over, and I'm just going to play through the pain for 5 months. Like, unbelievable. And looking back at some of the videos of, like, the Super Bowl, and, there was him recovering the fumble and getting up and holding the ball. There's that, athletic tape, that black athletic tape on his shoulder and his upper left arm. It's like, yeah, that's why that was there all year. Makes total. People are dealing with stuff. You don't know exactly what people are dealing. Everybody's dealing with something. It's the old adage. Nobody's healthy at this time of year. But to me, it almost adds even more weight to that fumble recovery because you couldn't go in there soft. That ball's laying there. He went in there, landed as hard as he could on the football, as fast as he did, and recovered the football with a torn labrum. And then decides that he's going to have surgery after the season is over and have successful surgery because had he had surgery back in week 2 is when he got injured. So week 3, week 4 of the NFL season, he wouldn't have been playing this year.
I find it fascinating that we see the surgeries now, but a lot of them you don't hear about. I remember talking to Mark Schlereth about this, 'cause, noted for having a lot of surgeries, but he would always say, after the season ends, you'd go and see like 6 of your guys post-operation and just sitting there, just sitting around going, oh, you had this, you got this done. That's what they do. It's like a dentist appointment at times for teams and for players. Every 15 minutes, okay, you're getting this cleaned up, you're getting this cleaned up, and then you hang out afterwards. I think sometimes as fans, we don't realize what these guys go through. We see, it's a knee injury. Okay, they're most likely getting that thing cleaned up after the season. They're going under the knife.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a shoulder injury? I've had a shoulder injury before. It can't be that bad. And you're like, oh, wait, it was torn? Like, I don't think we always understand the extent of the injury and the pain that these guys are going through.
Jalen, I feel your pain, man. I slept on my shoulder wrong last night. So I totally understand what you're going through in an NFL game with a torn labrum.
Yeah.
I get it. I feel it, man. I mean, that guy's a cornerback. He's pushing, he's pulling, he's running with the guy, he's jamming at the line of scrimmage, he's coming up to make a tackle. He's doing all that with a left shoulder that has a torn labrum. I mean, and to me, I wonder how much that's the culture that builds on itself. That he gets to the Chiefs, and year number 2, he's already got a Super Bowl ring. And, hey, you can play 5 months in pain and discomfort, or we can clean this thing up right now. You missed the season. You got 2 more years left. You're going to get paid your full amount this year, so it's not like you're going to lose money. If he's a Panther, is he getting surgery? Or is he playing through that?
That's a great point. It's the same amount of money.
Yeah.
It's not like he's getting more money because he's playing. The contract's the contract.
Well, you get the
playoff bonuses.
The playoff, you get the playoff money, so it's a little bit of money, but it ain't much comparatively speaking. But like if he's a Panther or something like that, and it's year number 2, and it's like, do I really want to risk my earning potential long term for this year where we're going to win 3 or 4 games? I'm just going to go ahead and get that thing cleaned up, rehab. I'll be ready to go next year. My year 3 and 4 of my career, I'm going to go and ball out, and then I'm going to get a big time contract.
It helps when some of the leaders on the team, Joe Thuney, played through a broken hand.
Yeah.
That was last year, but played through a broken hand. Nick Bolton, he had major injuries, and he was playing out there with a cast. He couldn't catch the football, which I don't know if he can catch either way. It's tough. I'm allowed to make jokes about him. I'm a Zoo guy, so we're allowed here.
He didn't have a cast when he dropped the interception in 2021's AFC Championship game with Joe Burrow throwing the ball to the sideline for some reason instead of throwing it away, and Nick Bolton slid down and it went right through his hands. Like, oh, that could have changed the whole game. Regardless, they still got 2 rings.
But when you see him come back that quick, that's a mindset that will wear off on the younger guys. That's what I think about.
The quarterback, don't forget, playing through a high ankle sprain.
Chad Henne?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
That
was.
was the one I was thinking about.
That guy's a dog for sure. Yeah, I mean, your left guard said he didn't need a UCL to play left guard, so you need one. He needs Tommy John surgery apparently, and he ruptures his UCL in the game and just doesn't miss a snap. Doesn't miss a snap. I mean, that's unbelievable, man. And the impact of that is they may like Caliendo, but the 49ers right guard got injured. I don't know the extent of it. I go back and look. But the right guard got injured, missed the rest of the game. It was a backup right guard that let Chris Jones run right past him on 3rd down and 5 in overtime. That resulted in the incomplete pass that Jawan Jennings would have had a touchdown if Brock Purdy had time to throw. It's a backup right guard that Chris Jones runs right past. Somebody was in miscommunication there. I'm going to guess it's the guy that hadn't played much this year and was coming in a reserve role. Whereas Allegretti was already in as a reserve role. And now if he goes down, now you're looking at your 3rd string left guard in there. I don't know if that changes anything, if there's protection calls, if he misses something. Does it have as big of an impact as it did with the 49ers and their right guard going down? I don't know. If he ruptured his UCL and left the game, well, then that's different.
Spencer Burford, that was the name. It was driving me insane.
Burford.
Spencer Burford.
Spencer Burford.
Also, by the way, with Nick Allegretti, is why I think he's one of the most underrated free agents the Chiefs have that no one's really talking about. I get it, it's not sexy to talk about backup offensive linemen, especially interior backup offensive linemen, but I'm nervous he takes the Andrew Wiley route where a team says, hey, we want to make you a starter.
Yep, I think he's going to get starter money. I think somebody's going to look at him and say, we're going to make you our left guard, right guard starter, that you come here, you got a spot. And if you stay with the Chiefs, you're in the same role and probably not as much money. Because if somebody's going to pay him to be a starter, it's going to be more money than the Chiefs will pay him to be a reserve player and a rotational guy that can play all 3 spots in the interior offensive line. But guess what? They're going to have to find that guy. If and maybe it's Caliendo, maybe it's that guy that's developing, they're ready to go, but they got to find somebody that can play both guard spots and snap the football, because they also need to find somebody to snap the football. or at least make that guy better at snapping said football.
Mitch Morse, baby.
There it is. There it is. We figured it out right there.
Full circle.
Wanya Morris is your swing tackle. Joe Tooney is your left tackle. Creed Humphreys your left guard, and Mitch Morse is now your center. There it is. We have figured out all of it. Now just go attack the wide receiver spot. All we've done is just add Mitch Morse. That's it. You're paying for a guy who's in his early to mid-30s as a center and is not going to demand a whole lot of money. You bring that guy in, and your offensive line is completely taken care of with the money that you already have tied up into those guys. Figured it out. Done and done.
We did it. I don't know why this is so
Done
hard.
and done. Or, Tony left tackle and Creed Humphrey left guard and Allegretti center. And re-sign him, bring him back.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I know we're being facetious right now. Creed Humphrey's going to figure it out.
I think so.
I'm not worried about.
Well, I don't know. If he was going to figure it out, I would hope he would have figured it out before they eventually got to the Super Bowl.
Sure, I'm
And,
with you, but
I mean, if they lose in overtime, it would be pretty annoying because there was a touchdown to Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
That Patrick Mahomes then says to Rashee Rice, he rolled the bleeping ball back to me.
well, he was a shortstop, right? I mean, Mahomes has the infielder's hands. He can do it.
Right, but as soon as that ball rolled back to him, he just picked it up and said, I'm throwing it to Kelsey. I got one-on-one over there. I don't have time to sit here and look, oh, my God, Rashee Rice is wide open over the middle. I'm going to hit him, and we're going to score a touchdown and win the game.
Well, it's too easy for Kansas City. They have to make it harder on Mahomes to elevate his excellence, his greatness.
He said that in the golf tournament, the match over the summer. I keep these things close. I've got the drama. I always make it for good TV. Come on, that's what I do. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more zone next. right, wrapping up this hour. Let's do this as we get ready for Sports or Leisure in the next segment. Let's give away some auto show tickets. How about that? Auto show coming up next week at Bartle Hall, Thursday through Sunday. All the cool experiences going on there. The electric vehicle experience. We talked about that with Larry Carl a couple of days ago. There have been cryptic tweets today from Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. So let's go Chris Jones today. 913-381-0810. Callers number 9 and 5. Caller number 9 and 5 for a pair of auto show tickets. 913-381-0810. 913-381-0810. Callers 9 and 5. You get a pair of tickets to the auto show. Sports or Leisure coming up next.
You're into sports, but nothing wrong with a little leisure time. Why not both?
You're going to have a heart attack by the time you're 40 if you don't learn to relax.
It's time for sports or leisure on The Zone with Jason Anderson.
All right, time for a little sports or leisure. 913-381-0810. Final hour on this Thursday. Sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 to Johnny's Tavern will be given away if you get a sports question and a leisure question right. You win. Either of them wrong, well, you lose, but the question is out there available for somebody to call in and request. We give out the answers when somebody answers them correctly or if we have run out of time to play. So that's how you play. The phone number is 913-381-0810 to call up and be a part of it. Also, we have our winners on the auto show tickets, so don't call up for the auto show tickets, but be listening for more opportunities to win tickets. We got auto show tickets that we are going to be giving away out the yin yang. Okay, yeah,
Twins.
There's a yin yang right over there, and right outside of that, still auto show tickets. Pairs, twins.
Like a salt shaker.
That's we can shake them.
These are songs I don't think they're going over your head. Yin
Nope,
Yang
I got
Twins
the-
was.
Oh yeah, shake
yeah.
it like a salt shaker. That's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Or
the Whisper song, which we will
Yep.
not play on the radio because
that's right.
you
Josh is now an outcast, but we can shake those like a Polaroid picture.
There we go.
See, now,
there we go.
Now we're on the same wavelength, I think. I don't know if we are or not, but you guys can be on the same wavelength, 913-381-0810, to play some sports or leisure. The categories are you know how to you know how we do this?
Yeah,
Sterling?
I'm
Are
good,
you
I'm
are you
good.
aware? Okay,
I will say Dylan gave one of the. We had the same page on the IMBD. We
IMDb.
IMBD. DB. He texted me wrong.
IMDb.
I'm blaming Dylan. I'm sorry.
It's the Internet Movie Database. It's IMDb. Yeah, it's
the
not
IMD
BD.
2.0.
IMDb. IMDb.
Could be base data.
I like base data. Dylan,
Internet
you
movie.
seem right.
Internet movies based data.
Based.
This data is based. That's right. IMDb movies. So he gave you tips on that.
So yes.
Okay. So
I've won there.
okay,
Do
so
you want my categories?
No, I'll give the categories here. I just want to make sure that you're good to go and you know how to play.
Oh, I'm golden.
Well, that's what I've heard. Let's see, Pony Boy's over here, apparently. Stay gold. All right, our categories on the sports side. We have 29. We still have some 29 questions available where people can guess this player that wore number 29, Chiefs or Royals. We had that category last Thursday because Thursday was February 29th. You know, turns out there's a 29. We can do 29 in every single month this year if we wanted to because there's a 29 in every single month. So we've got 29. Some questions there. We have some college basketball questions available that are out there. And we have franchise tag questions. L'Jarius Sneed being tagged. We have Chiefs franchise tag questions on the docket today for the sports side on Sports or Leisure.
Well, leisure side.
Yeah, what do we got?
We got March Madness, which
Okay.
is questions that have the word March in the name.
Okay.
Okay. Can be anything.
All
Anything
right.
with March in its name.
Like March Madness.
Like March Madness.
Would that be an answer?
It's not an answer.
Okay.
Yes. And the other one, fun with counties in the KC Metro. It's a pun name game. So every answer
Okay.
will be something that also has the county in the KC Metro in it.
Okay.
I will
All
already
right.
say sorry, Platte. I'm sorry, Platte County.
Couldn't figure out a pun name game
I
with Platte County?
tried to cheat and put plate in there. Wasn't gonna
no,
work.
you can't do that.
You couldn't do it.
Mick Schaefer will drive here, open the door, take off his glove, slap you across the face, and then go back to whatever he was doing if you try to embarrass, destroy, or manipulate in any way, shape, or form the pun name game, the before and after, as some would call it.
I will never do that.
Okay. I just want you to know that that has almost happened once to Josh.
Almost.
Almost.
Now you're sounding like Florio.
He is it's on the radar. It's on Mick Schaefer's radar to come in and take off a glove and slap you one rap across the face. Just one time to let you know where he stands if you are to deface and demean the pun name game, or the before and after.
Yeah.
As it might be called in Wheel of Fortune. All right. Those are the categories. It's how you play. Phone number 913-381-810. I am good to go. Sterling, you good to go?
I am good to go.
D? Pickle?
Yep. Get after it.
Why is your nickname Stu? Is Stu short for Sterling?
No, it happened in high. No one cares about the story, by the way.
Yeah, they do.
It
I
happened.
care.
It
You
happened.
can't say no one if I just ask you.
So
I care.
in
We're
high
doing
school,
journalism here.
I went to Blue Valley North, right? Okay, Blue Valley North High School. I played basketball. Had
Badass.
two middle schools, feed into high school, right? So freshman year basketball, you don't really always know the dudes. I went to Leawood, the OTMS guys. We don't always know each other's names. This might be our first time seeing each other. I was a point guard. Someone was calling for the ball, and they just yelled, Stu. Actually, I think it was Stewart. It may have been Stewart.
Stewart. They thought your name was Stewart, not Sterling?
Yeah, and so for everyone just stopped, and we just started laughing, and so then it went from Stewart into Stu, and then every once in a while, people just call me Stu. I don't know how it started here necessarily, because there's no basketball here.
Right.
That was asking to be passed to.
Yeah, I want to get fed the ball. I mean, if you're the point
Everyone
guard,
wants to feed. I'm a shooting guard. I'm Allen Iverson. I'm point guard in height.
Oh, you're a combo guard?
I'm a combo.
You're Brandon Knight in college? Okay, good to know. I will be your JJ Redick.
Thank you.
Yes, that's right. I'll be your. I've always said that.
Bob Sura.
It was a Valentine's card to my wife. I'll be your JJ Redick if you need it. Yeah. My random nickname in high school, and my high school friends still call me that, is Sanderson. My last name is Anderson.
Did you eat sand
Nope.
on spring break one year?
Nope.
Or?
One of my best friends in my wedding started calling me Sanderson for some reason. He knew my name. He didn't think my name was Stewart.
Yeah, fair.
He just was like, "What's up, Sanderson?" The hell you talk? And then everybody just started doing it. I was annoyed at first, but now I'm like, I don't care, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, it's weird.
He's
weird.
Dylan,
Like
can you
pickle.
mark that? He seems a little annoyed by that.
No, I'm fine
right?
with it now.
Please don't put in the papers that I was mad. Please don't put in the papers I was mad.
It's Bill Self. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't shake hands with my friends.
We should call him
it's fine.
Tenacious.
Yeah, well, his nickname was Pickle because of Dill.
I was saying D for Dylan.
But his nickname was also
Tenacious.
D. I don't know if that's his business, man. 913-381-810 is the
You
phone
can call
number.
me whatever you want, to be honest. I don't have any.
Just as long as you call me.
as I'm not nicknaming myself, that's the only rule.
That's right.
You cannot
That's right.
nickname yourself.
That's exactly right. What's up, Killer? How'd you get that nickname? I just decided one day I needed a nickname. It's the old. Oh man, there was Kelsey Grammer was in a submarine movie, and oh man, I can't remember what it was called, but it was a dude that was named Nitro. He's like Nitro. He's like, oh man, that's a cool nickname. What's your real name? He goes, Nitro.
It's a down Periscope.
There we go, down Periscope. Yep. What's your real name? Nitro. I've been thinking about a nickname though, so I was thinking about maybe being called Mike. It's a nickname. I don't know why that's always stuck with me, and I always found that funny. His real name was Nitro, but wanted to be nicknamed Mike. Let's go to the phone lines. Avery next up. Avery, big fan of Down Periscope, certainly in anything and everything Kelsey Grammer has ever done and been a part of. He joins us here. He is first up on Sports or Leisure on this Thursday. Avery, what side do you want to start with?
I did have Down Periscope locked and loaded. I was like,
Thank
ready
you.
to yell it.
I was like, oh, it's something. It's an up. It's a direction. It's either up. It's down. It's something. It's not anchors away. That's a different one. So, yes.
I'll do 29.
29. All right. Yeah. By the way, when you get one, if you get one right, Avery, don't give away the rest of them. Okay.
You want me to shut up about Ray Palacios?
Yeah, I do actually want you to shut up about him, but no, that's not part of it. Okay. All right, badass. Okay, badass. Let's go with this one. A Rule 5 draft pick from the Cleveland now Guardians homered in his first at bat in the big leagues with the Royals. He'd play 167 games for the Royals over 3 years, hitting only 19 more home runs and playing mostly right field. And as a total complete anecdote that will help you not at all, I, for some reason, chose him to collect all of his rookie cards. I have about 40 of this guy's cards that are worth I believe, combined 25 cents. 40 of them combined for 25 cents.
Is there an era that this happened in?
90s.
90s?
Mid-90s. You know, my prime baseball card collecting days, Avery. Come on, you should know that. How do you not know these things? Yeah, 29.
Is it Vince Coleman?
No, this guy started his career with the Royals because he was a Rule 5 draft. So he Rule 5 draft from Cleveland, and his first ever at bat was a home run, and played mostly right field. Left-handed hitter too.
Left-handed hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
There
In the
are
90s?
Yep, there are none hits for you. None hits coming your way.
Oh, Nunnally?
God darn it.
Thank you.
I didn't think you were going to get that one. I really did. I thought that hint. You're too good with hints. The hints don't go over
That
your
was
head.
nails, Jason.
Yes, it's
Sorry, Sanderson.
Yes. Hey, shut up, Stu. John Nunnally, war number 29. Well done, Avery. Over
Were
to.
you a big fan of Hocus Pocus? And they thought you were like one of the Sanderson sisters?
No, I'm not one of the Sanderson sisters. My daughter went as one of the Sanderson sisters for Halloween. So no, I think it was. He said my name fast. It's like, "What's up, Jay Sanderson?"
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then it was just sort of a thing that stuck. I have no idea, but you know. But yeah, John Nunnally. If you would like a John Nunnally rookie card, look me up. I've got a few. I got a few to spare.
Leisure side, March Madness, which the questions have March in the name, or Fun with Counties in the KC Metro pun name game.
Or
Sounds like you're going to
IMDb.
be more of a stickler. You're not going to have any Sky Morio cards or Brody Croyle Tenenbaums.
No, we will not have any of those.
No. It'll
not
be
yet.
It'll
This
be
is easy.
It'll be Schaefer rules.
Yeah, I'll do counties.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and put him on hold to give him his $25 gift card.
This player took the league by storm with the New York Knicks and won a title with the Raptors. Also played for the Lakers.
No more hints, Stuart.
Took the league by storm with the Knicks. Won a title with the Raptors. Wyandotte or Johnson.
Is it Jeff Wyandotte?
Clay Thompson didn't do that.
Clay. Oh, wow. That was
Jackson.
He played with Carmelo Anthony with the Knicks.
Somebody that took the league by storm with the Knicks.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it, he took the league
dude,
by
it was all
crazy.
Everybody was talking about for like a month and a half.
Like Jeremy Lin?
Yes.
Well, no, it's not yes. That's not yes.
Well,
That's not the
I
answer.
gotta get the other half. Linwood County? What? Lynn? Jeremy. Wyandotte.
This is very surprising coming from Avery, I'll be honest with you.
I feel like he's right there.
Oh, yeah. Of course he's right there.
There's Jackson and Johnson and Clay, and you said you didn't use Platt and Leavenworth.
It's a little south of here.
South of here?
Southwest. Well, no, from
It's
here, you're
straight
right.
south.
No,
yeah.
from
you
here,
hop on
yeah.
69 and
Yeah.
you go straight south.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You're right. It is south, directly south.
Jackson, Miami. Oh, just Jeremy Lin County?
Yes, there we go.
Yeah,
Welcome to sports.
surprising coming from you. We good, Dylan? Surprising coming from you, Avery. I'll be honest with you. It's a little disappointing showing.
You're like Franklin County.
Franklin. Well, yeah, that might have been a good one.
Jeremy Clinton. No,
I like the Clay Thompson though.
Yeah,
Clay
nice.
Thompson. That's a good one. Avery will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. 913-3-810-810, $25. See, it's just that easy. Can't believe Avery got that. I mean, out of all people, the ones that we gave hints to, He's won so. I mean,
he said Jeremy Lin. I go, okay, he's just going to say county because I figured everyone knows the
I know.
counties.
And you're like, oh, there you go. That's the answer. No, it's not the answer.
He's got to get the county part.
It's before and after.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's the pun name game. It's the county name.
I'm nice, Jason.
That's not what I heard. Josh has never said that about you, ever. Nick, next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Nick, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go sports.
All right, we've got some college basketball. We've got the number 29. We've got franchise tag questions.
Let's
for
go
the Chiefs.
number 29.
Number 29 for you. Okay. You know what? Feeling good today because it's rainy outside. We need everybody be lifted up a little bit. He's more known for being a Cardinal and a Met than he is a Royal. But in his 179 games with the Royals, he stole 76 bases. He was on 2 World Series teams, but only got to play in one thanks to the Tarp Monster. Neither of those teams won the World Series.
Vince Coleman.
There you go. Nice job, Vince Coleman. I figured it was an easier one anyway, and then Avery just said Vince Coleman as well. But yes, Vince Coleman wearing at number 29. Leisure with Stu. What category are you thinking?
Oh, yeah, let's do counties.
All right, back to the counties. In 1914, this pitcher's fastball, measured against a speeding motorcycle, supposedly traveled 97 miles per hour.
Oh, my God. I remember the videos out there. Yeah, that's right.
He's a Hall of Famer, too.
Old-time radar gun.
Oh, boy. I'm just going to go with my first instinct. And I'm not even sure he's a pitcher, but I'm going to say Walter Johnson County.
Boom.
Yeah, he's definitely
Nailed
a pitcher.
it.
Definitely a pitcher. The train. He's pretty badass. And that is a winner, $25 to Sports or Leisure, to Johnny's Tavern with Sports Leisure. Nick, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. See, that was
How do
easy.
you think the motorcycle, like, why did they think that was a good idea? Like,
How else are they going to
measure, was the
measure?
motorcycle going 97?
had to
And
get-
they just, you had to go the exact amount the fastball
Every
was?
single day
or-
he went 95 and the fastball was a little bit, beat him by a little bit. He went 96, fastball still beat him by a little bit. Then 97, it was perfectly timed. 98, he beat the fastball. Boom. There you go. 97 mile an hour fastball from Walter Johnson. We know that because we scientifically did that one. Let's go. I mean, that's science, though. You got to figure out a way to do that.
I
That's
wish we
MacGyvering.
did that in my science class. That'd be way more fun.
Oh, remember the back in the day when, or even now, the high school 40 times when it's like just the stopwatch?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I ran a 4.15. I mean, I didn't, but you would hear like, dude, that dude slipped, got his balance, 4.31 with that guy. Oh, really? Yeah, totally. There's video of it. They lost the video. There's video of it. He
His
slipped,
dad was the coach. His dad was the coach.
slipped on the start,
surprisingly.
and then boom, 4.31. That guy has wheels, man. He was electronically timed at 4.9. What happened there? Well, I mean, who really believes those electronic times anyway? I mean, anybody can just distort electronics, Let's go to John next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports or leisure, John? What side do you want to start with?
Hey, fellas.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Let's start with college basketball.
College basketball. All right. You know what? Let's go with this one because it's timely. KU plays Houston on Saturday, the number 1 team in the land. Bill Self at KU is 4-3 in his career versus number 1 ranked teams. Which coach holds the record for the most wins versus AP number 1 ranked teams in his career? With 8, by the way.
Yeah, I'd probably say just on sheer volume it'd be Coach K.
It is close. It is John is not Coach K, but it is very close. John, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, sir. 913-381-810. And this is where I get into a conflict with myself. The conflict that I have with myself is Avery wins a good amount,
Sure.
and he's pretty smart, and we gave some hints to him. But then John answers so quickly, and it's like, that's wrong. Sorry, man. But I'm in conflict with myself because I'm like, why did I let Avery win? And Mick calls it everybody wins. It can't be everybody wins if not everybody wins. Let's go to that question is out there available. It is not Coach K, but John's on the right track with that one. Let's go to Matt next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Matt, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's do franchise tags.
Franchise tags for you. Okay. Here we go. If the Chiefs trade L'Jarius Sneed, he would be the third player the team tagged and then traded. Who are the other two?
One of them is D Ford.
That is correct. He's the most recent of the tag and trades.
Just a second. Oh, was it Jared Allen?
Jared Allen, nice job, Jared Allen. Well done. Jared Allen and D Ford and what we believe will be eventually L'Jarius Sneed tagged and traded on to Leisure with Sterling.
You want fun with counties in the KC Metro? The pun name game, March Madness, which again is questions with March in the name, or Dylan's I am BD. We're going with that because it's the base database.
It's deep. You're going to confuse people. You're going to start confusing me. Have I been wrong the whole time? Where did I get Munson from?
Let's stick with counties, please.
All right, counties. Two detectives working undercover. The series ran for 5 seasons on NBC from 1984 to 1989. The show drew heavily upon 1980s new wave culture. It is noted for its integration of contemporary pop and rock music.
I think I know. Does it have to flow together?
You can do what you want. As long as you have the words in there, I will allow.
You can't mix the words up. I mean, you gotta have it flow together like a.
This was actually hard for me to try and find out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said 84 to 89?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I want to say Miami Vice County.
Yes. So it can either be Miami County Vice or Miami Vice County. I would accept either.
Are you looking for Miami County?
Yes.
Oh, that's absurd. That's absurd.
What do you mean?
It's a Miami Vice County. It's not.
It's not, Miami County Vice. What do you want me to do here?
I don't come up with something else with the Miami County.
It worked. Well, I was trying to think like Miami Heat. It was hard to get Miami to be the last word. I was gonna say Will Smith song, and no one's gonna know that one.
Welcome to Miami County. Bienvenido a Miami County. That's right, though. You got it right according to Sterling, and that's all that matters.
I'm
Matt.
a nice guy, okay? I'm a nice dude.
Matt, we'll put you on hold. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks, Anderson.
There you go. Nice job. Love it. That's awesome. 913-381-810. Let's go to Ryan next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Hey, Ryan, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
I'm going to go with sports.
We got college basketball. We got a question out there. We got franchise tag. We got number 29.
I'll take whatever question's out there for college basketball.
Okay, very good. KU plays Houston on Saturday, the number 1 team in the country. Bill Self at KU was 4-3 in his career against the number 1 ranked team in the AP. Which coach holds the record for most wins versus AP number 1 ranked teams? Coach K was guessed. It was incorrect. The hint we gave was that was close. He's on the right track. What say you?
Maybe a Dean Smith.
Dean Smith is even closer than Coach K, but it is also incorrect. Ryan, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it, brother. 913-381-810. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. That question is out there available. We'll continue rolling. Sports or leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. $25 we're giving away to Johnny's Tavern if you get a sports and a leisure question right in the often debated, discussed of sports or leisure. But you got to get sports and leisure right. That's right. More's on next. 9113-810-810 is the phone number to play some sports or leisure. Johnny's Tavern, we are giving away $25. Kansas City's premier sports bar, 10 locations, Lawrence and Topeka, for Johnny's Tavern. We had Johnny's Tavern last Thursday for one of my lunch bets that I paid off. And it wasn't with a bunch of gift cards either, so I actually, just fine. Whatever. I really took one for the team, guys, okay? But, man, the pizza's so good. We should have got some Wilson wings to go along with it. But we got the Nuke Lelouch, and we got some pepperoni. We got some cheese for the kids at the station. Mainly my kids, because I took home the cheese pizza for my kids to eat that night. Hey, kids, Dad's got pizza figured out. Dad's got dinner figured out, all right? It's a little Johnny's Tavern for dinner. And the leftovers, because those slices are so freaking big.
Dude, you put them back in the oven. Just for a little bit, a couple minutes. Next thing you know, it's brand new, great pizza.
Awesome, man. So yeah, Johnny's Tavern, fantastic spot. Many other types of food you can get there at Johnny's Tavern. All right, let's head back to the phone lines, 913-381-810-810. Let's go to Andrew next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Andrew, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
What categories did you have on the leisure side?
We have March Madness, which is questions with March in the name, and then we have Fun with Counties in the KC Metro, the pun name game, which is getting destroyed.
Just those two, huh? Okay. Let's do March Madness.
All right. Are you a music guy, a book guy, or a movie guy?
Movie.
All right. The documentary depicts the yearly journey of an animal in Antarctica. The journey across frozen tundra proves to be the simplest part of the ritual. After the egg is hatched, the female must delicately transfer it to the male and make her way back to the distant sea to nourish herself and bring back food for her newborn chick.
Cicadas?
March of the Penguin.
You nailed it.
Oh, I was close, though.
Yeah, you're very close.
I was getting there.
Very close.
There's a lot of mating going on with the cicadas as well.
I could have said animal in Antarctica, and I think everyone would have got it.
With the penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. All right, on to the sports side. We got some college basketball. We have franchise tag questions, and we have the number 29 questions.
Let's go franchise tag.
Franchise tag. All right. So we got that question answered. Okay, let's go with this one. The Chiefs, if L'Jarius Sneed cannot be traded, then the talk is that he'll play 1 year on the franchise tag and not sign an extension. The Chiefs have had 4 players be franchise tagged and play that year on the tag. Name 2 of those 4 players that have been franchise tagged and played 1 year on the tag.
Okay. Shouldn't have thought a little bit more about this.
I'm pretty sure. I'm questioning one of them. So I know there's at least 3, but I'm questioning one of them right now for the 4 of them. But I'm going to go and fact check while you're thinking. Nope, I was right. So there's 4 of them. Just need 2. Only need 2 of them.
Just 2.
Just 2.
50%.
That's right. Yeah, just shoot 50%.
It's a failing grade.
That's right. Yes, it's a Clark Hunt NFLPA grade, F-.
Yeah. Oh man.
But that will get you a win, though, at least on this side. Chiefs have had 4 players play on the franchise tag. L'Jarius Sneed would be the 5th to play that 1 year on the tag. Name 2. It's been a pretty recent one.
We did tag Chris Jones last year, but.
It's a great 3-point percentage, though. 50%. If you're
it's
shooting that,
amazing.
you're electric.
Yeah, that was me. That's why I'm saying I'm your J.J. Redick. Yeah, I got
free throws, though, I don't know. Yeah,
that's rough. You should not be shooting 50% from the free throw line. If you are, you should get to work in the gym.
Go from J.J. Redick to Greg Oden.
That's right.
Andre Beatrice. Remember him for Golden State? He shot
Beatrice? It's a
he shot like
city in Nebraska.
11% from the free throw line 1 year, something like that. It was crazy.
Where at?
Oh, yeah, Golden State.
Wow. What do you say? 4 players.
So Bobby Scipio is one of them.
And now we need the other one.
Oh, man. I mean, shoot. Somebody. It's got to be somebody so obvious that I know.
The franchise tags.
Was Justin Houston one of them?
Now Justin Houston was not one of them. He was tagged, but he signed an extension with his tag. Andrew, thank you for playing, man. I appreciate it. You got one of them, Bobby Scipio. So now we
He wore 29 too, didn't he?
He absolutely did wear number 29, and he's named after one of the counties in the area. So
Bobby Scipio County, number 29, franchise tag. Got it.
Done. You nailed it, man. Andrew, thank you. Appreciate it as always. Let's go to Charles next up on Sports Radio 810 at WHB for Sports or Leisure. Charles, what side do you want to start with, the sports side or the leisure side?
Just from leisure.
Leisure.
Leisure. All right. Which one? March Madness or the Fun with Counties?
Let's do the March.
Awesome. Are you a music guy, a book guy, or a word guy?
Let's try some music.
All right, let's try music.
Do you like music? Do you like words?
1992 album by Motorhead that had the songs Bad Religion and Hellraiser on it. Slash played guitar on one of the songs.
Oh. About that. Good to know.
Wow. Can you run that by me one more time?
Okay, a 1992 album by Motorhead. The album had songs Bad Religion and Hellraiser, which, fun fact as well, Hellraiser also was written for Ozzy Osbourne.
How about that?
Yeah.
Fun fact. See, we got sports or leisure and fun facts.
It's my favorite album by Motorhead. I don't know if you're a Motorhead guy, but big Lemmy Kilmister guy.
One thing you'll learn is that I'm not the music guy around here.
Okay.
So,
Motorhead, March or Die.
Yes, nails.
March or die. That's right.
Word March in it.
That's right. On to the sports side, sir. We got college basketball. We got the number 29. We have franchise tags.
Let's try the college basketball.
All right. Did we get the answer to the number one team? And did we get an answer to that one, or did I say that in the break?
No, you and I were talking about
Okay,
that,
very
yeah.
good. I couldn't remember. All right. Do you want the one that's out there or a couple of fresh ones that we have?
Let's try a fresh one.
All right. Here we go. Since KU started their consecutive streak of winning the Big 12 regular season, I know it's been snapped since then, but since that time, 4 different schools have been the 1 seed in the tournament. Because while KU has won a share of the Big 12 championship, at least that regular season, they've been the 2 seed a couple times there. 4 different schools have been the 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament since KU started their run of consecutive Big 12 regular season titles. You know what? Let's start with 2. Let's just say name 2.
Run that by me one more time, please.
Yep. So KU started, what was it, 2003, 2004, when they started their run of Big 12 regular season championships. So I'll just say since 2003, 2004, there have been 4 schools not named Kansas to be the number 1 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Name 2. It was
Iowa State's 1.
Since 2003, 2004.
Oh, 03, 04. Okay.
I'll give you a reprieve on that one. And now you've just eliminated Iowa State as an answer. Well done.
Let's shoot for Baylor.
Baylor is the most recent of the non-KUs.
Since 03, 04.
Mm-hmm. And one team's done it twice. It's been the 1 seed twice.
Oh, man, let me think.
Think away, you know. Think if you want. Do you know it, Stuart?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I can't stop calling you Stu now, or Stuart.
Okay, Sanderson.
I just like it. I don't know. Sterling. Were you named after the Mahomes child?
What's funny was when I talked to Mahomes about this, he goes, "Oh, I have a daughter named Sterling," and I have to sit there and act like,
What?
"Oh, really?
No kidding.
Crazy."
I won our name guessing competition that we had on the air here. So we each, Mick, Corey, and I think Shane was here at the time. So Mick, Corey, Shane, and me, we came up with 3 guesses for what we thought the name of their first child was going to be. And we knew it was a girl. We knew it was going to be a girl at that time. And so the fact that they have Medals as the name of their dogs, my second guess was Sterling.
Wow.
So I got it right.
Wow.
Nailed it. I didn't get anything for it, though.
I thought it was after me because we're only 2 letters off. Just the ma, really.
No. Ma. All right, what do you say? Name another school besides Baylor.
I'm going to say Texas.
Texas is right. Texas was a number one seed
Nice.
twice, actually. The other two schools, Oklahoma, and of course a few years ago, K-State. So those are the four schools besides KU that have been a number one seed, and then that's a winner, right? Because he had Leisure first. That's correct. Winner for you, Charles. We'll put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Super duper.
Love it. Love it, Charles. 913-810-810. Let's go to next up is John on Sports Radio 810. John, sports or leisure, what side would you like to start with, sir?
I will start with sports.
All right, we've got a fresh one in college basketball. We also have one out there. We have franchise tag questions, one out there, and a couple of fresh ones, and we have the number 29 category.
So no one got that Roy Williams one right yet?
No, nobody's got the one. Would you like that question?
Yeah, I'll take that one, I guess.
Yeah, KU plays Houston on Saturday, the number one team in America. Bill Self at KU's 4-3 in his career against the number one ranked AP teams. Which coach holds the record for most wins versus AP number one ranked teams with 8 of them? Coach K was guest. Dean Smith was guest. What say you, John? What do you think?
I'm kind of leaning towards Norm. I'll go Roy Williams.
Roy Williams is correct. Well done. That was close. You almost got it wrong there. It was not Norm. It was Roy, who Coach K being guest was not a bad guess, but a number of those Roy wins were against number one ranked Duke. So, I mean, they're ranked number one a lot. Kind of hard to beat yourself, although a lot of teams can beat themselves in games. So on to leisure with Sterling.
I will do, let me try that county one. I don't know if I've
Okay.
heard that.
Fun with counties in the KC Metro. This is an easy one. Muhammad Ali's given name.
Just a layup.
Cassius Clay County.
There you go.
Why
I could
why
have
even
said
ask him a question?
I could have said his middle name. What's his middle name to make it really difficult?
Jackson? I don't know.
Marcellus.
Cassius
Marcellus.
Marcellus
That's not a county
Clay.
around here.
Well, it still would. He wanted a full name.
The
Cassius Marcellus Clay County.
County.
Oh,
But no,
I
you're good.
Yeah.
I was being
You're totally fine.
I was trying to make it harder. 'cause
Totally
that's
fine.
Easy.
John, we will put you on hold and get your information. Congratulations on the 2 layups that you hit. But you got to hit your bunnies sometimes. Don't miss those. Appreciate it, brother. All right. There's another winner to Johnny's Tavern, $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We will take a timeout. We'll come back and wrap up the show. Coming up on the other side, 913-810-810. And I believe there's one question still out there on my side that we can get an answer to, or if we have time to play, we'll see. Coming up on the other side. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Playing some sports or leisure, 913-3810810. Wrapping things up. We've got sports and leisure that you have to answer. $25 to Johnny's Tavern. We've given away a few gift cards so far. Let's bring in Shane to play a little sports or leisure here on this Thursday edition. Shane, sports side or leisure side? Sure? Shane? Sure.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
Sports, you still have the 29 category?
I do have the 29 category. I'm assuming that's the category you'd like.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go with this one. You know what? Let's go ahead and get this one off the board. Since you're going to be the final contestant here. One of the greatest Royals. He played 13 years for Kansas City after being drafted in the 10th round of the 1991 MLB draft. Made his debut in 95, and his first few years spent playing mostly catcher. In fact, started opening day behind the plate in 98. He'd eventually moved to first base, where he'd manned that position along with DH for the next 7 years. Finished his career with the second most home runs in Royals history. Still ranks in the top 3 of batting average, slugging percentage, OPS, and home runs.
I think that's a swing dog.
That is. Like I said, let's get that one out. Easy one. Final contestant today, Shane. Mike Sweeney, number 29, on to leisure with one Sterling.
So we have IMDb left, or
we have Fun with Counties in the KC Metro, as well as March Madness, which is questions with March in the name.
Okay, let's do the counties.
Yeah, do the counties.
Oh my gosh,
Do the counties.
The
That's
March ones are hard, and this one's the easiest one left. If you think the last one was easy, well, you're welcome.
Shane, you're going to be embarrassed that he's even asking you this question.
Yeah,
just so you know.
Nicknamed Mr. October for his heroics in the playoffs.
So is this a before and after?
It's pretty much a pun name game with the county being the last word.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So it's Reggie Jackson County.
Like I said, you're going to be embarrassed he's even asking you the question, Shane.
Well,
like I said, so.
I almost took it off.
Do you feel good about that win, Shane? Do you feel good about that win, Shane?
I feel amazing. That was the hardest questions I've ever had.
All right.
Damn right.
You want me to ask a dude who wore long socks and played for the Sacramento Kings?
Oh, that's Bobby Jackson.
Yeah, Bobby
County.
Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, but I would have got him more for the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Sure.
In that run. That's just me. Shane, will put you on hold. Congratulations on a well-earned, well-fought, well-thought-out game of sports or leisure.
Super duper.
Nice job. 913-3810810. I've got one question that we did not get. We're out of time playing. One question that I did not get an answer to, and it is a franchise tag question. Right? Yeah, because the answer that the contestant gave, was Justin Houston. So the franchise tag question is: the Chiefs have had 4 players play that year on the tag. Name 2. Sterling, you know the answers? By any chance, you want to throw a dart as to 2 of the 4 players that have played on the franchise tag for 1 year, which Snead could do if they don't trade him.
How recent was this?
Well, one's pretty recent.
Okay.
One's pretty recent. Pretty recent. Pretty recent.
Well, it wasn't Chris Jones because he
got
that
not.
revamped.
Could have been the year right before Chris Jones.
Could have been the year right before Chris Jones, and now I'm stalling.
He's a Bengal now.
Orlando Brown Jr. That was
Orlando Brown. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You've had a lot of things to do today. Okay, your mind is.
I'm wearing a Steve Harvey suit because for sports and leisure. I was trying to make sure we had a good one here tonight, folks.
Well, that was kind of a Ken Harvey question there with Reggie Jackson County. Love it, though. The other ones, for the sake of time, Brandon Albert, franchise tag, played that year. Dwayne Bowe, franchise tag, played that year.
No.
Will Shields, franchise tag, played that year on the tag. And then eventually worked something out. So there you go. Those are the 4. L'Jarius Sneed. I think option 2 would be playing this year on the franchise tag. Option 3, I think, would be a long-term deal.
I was going to ask you if it's a Brandon, but I was thinking Flowers or Carr.
Yeah, neither of those Brandons, but Brandon Albert. Then he went to the Dolphins. Any questions you did not get answers to? All the counties are taken care of?
I think every single one. I think
we go.
everyone answered my questions.
IMDb and IMBD. Both of them. All right. We're going to get out of here on this Thursday edition of the show. The program with Curtis, Kadog, and Taliabu. That's next.